Good morning. It is Tuesday, May 13th, 8:31 a.m., and we are here for a consent agenda review work session. I'll run through the items on consent agenda. We have Barbara on today. Hi, Barb.
Good morning.
And
Excuse
Jerome.
me.
Hello, Jerome. Okay. County's new copier. The only thing I would say is, can we confirm with TS? Do we meet with TS today?
So you do. Mandy sent me an email this morning. Yes, Barb, we can hear you. She said accounting's request for a new copier on the consent agenda. She spoke with TS and confirmed Quad has the budget for the replacement copier and will be covering the cost if the board approves it.
Okay.
But they didn't have them available for them, right?
Well,
I would say no. I'm not sure. That I just read what.
no, so they'll do the same process, but the money's already available. Because they collect it over the 5-year period or whatever for the replacement. So if they haven't had a replacement in 10 years, it's, they could already had one.
Gotcha.
Is it said to be coming out of anywhere? Does it need to come out of a different budget? Probably doesn't need to come out of their small tool.
I think they were talking about maybe reallocating the funds if the commissioners approved it. But yes, it sounds like it will need to come from a different budget since the
Should come out of that.
Quad has the budget for it.
Yeah. Chicago title.
I have a charge if anybody needs one for the, they told us we could leave it on here.
Did we get any information on the SIP account fund? Cindy had mentioned that one meeting.
Carrie sent us something, I don't know if Carrie's online.
It's not here
Carrie's
today.
not here today. She's having issues with her back.
Okay, that she just told the EDC to not send any more.
Okay.
Told them to put on a hold, and then
Yeah, and so they're gonna wait, I think, just a little bit.
West Wing.
Carrie, K-A, how do you spell Carrie?
KARRI.
Surprised you haven't created your own LLC yet. Taking some pictures.
On Friday, says I contacted Brandon EDC and asked him to hold any and all applications and recommendations until the SIP funding can get built back up. He is good with this, and next round of recommendations will not be until July. I will send him the monthly report and keep him updated on the funding balance.
And item 6, coroner vehicle reimbursement.
Okay, there is an error in item number 4. 37,500 for membership fees. Those should be coming out of the 133 account. When
We have two different lines for it. I can pull it from 133 first, though. Last year, we pulled from both 133 and 113.
Yep, I would love for it to come out of 113. I'm totally fine, but it is budgeted out of 133, line item 184, ending in EDC admin fees, 90,000. In 2024, we paid 37,500. But I just don't think they wanted it to come out of this account. But I'm okay leaving it there, because it really is, that's really where it should be coming out of.
We have a budget line in both funds that are just labeled EDC admin fees. And so I can definitely pull it from 133 first, if that's what you guys would like to do.
We have 100,000 in there.
I think I pulled up last year's budgets just to look for the,
No, I mean in the account, because I know the account was running down low,
for 113 or 133.
113. I really think it should be coming out of 113.
113, we have $60,000 budgeted for EDC admin fees
Okay.
for this year. And for 133, we have,
90,000.
yes.
I think they were charging us 2 or 3% on all I think that's what the 113 EDC amount should be. And the 133 is for the membership dues. So I think it's 2, it might be 3%. Everything they run through, they keep a 3%. So if it's $100,000, they get 3,000. And that should come out of the 113. So the 133 should, to correct this, 133 should be paying the 37,500. But I'm only one commissioner, one vote.
I mean,
Kevin Ross.
it's budgeted from both, and I would pull from both. I know that we increased it quite a lot last year. For some reason, I thought we were giving them 200,000 a year, but it's 150.
I thought it got back down. Well, see, on that one, the 113 should be just a percentage of all the money that they give out. The 133 should be that promised amount that we have budgeted 90,000.
The 37,500 last year, it got pulled out of both accounts.
Okay.
So
And in 2023, it looks like I don't even show it coming out of the 133 account. I'm fine with it coming out of the 113, that it just leaves the county more money for the 133.
So, sorry, so looking at it, it looks like the 37,500 only came out of the 113 account because we reached the max budget in the 133. So it was just,
Oh, so they did take out the 90,000.
yes, you used
Okay,
the
I
full
just showed the
90,000
37,500.
from last year. Yeah, you used the full 90,000 in 133 last year, and so then that last invoice of 37,500 came from the 113 fund, which I think is where I got confused when I put the fund that it would be paid out of this time.
Okay, so we only have budgeted for 90. Are we paying more than what we budgeted for?
Emily had explained to me that there were just two separate.
What is the 113, the budget for the 113?
The 113 is 60,000, and then the 133 is 90,000.
Okay, so that probably is where the 150,000 comes from. Right, isn't that what you said, Rob? We thought.
Yeah, it was 150 or 2.
Okay.
I don't remember what their request was.
I can pull Give me a moment, I can pull the big budget spreadsheet that, Mandy sent out and just make sure that it matches what we have here. I'm pretty positive that when Mandy sent it out, Emily updated all of these. It was a really, all of that happened.
Okay, well,
like,
that makes
in
sense.
a
If
weird
we're-
transition with Brittany going and Emily doing this and me doing some of it and
No, I mean, my questions are answered, so that, if that 150, that would be.
okay, yeah, 133 is still 90,000 for this year. And then 113 is still 60,000 for this year also, so those are correct.
And we no longer do the percentage then.
And then I'm so sorry, what was the final, or was there a decision about what?
We can leave it in 113. It's already advertised in 113,
I'm okay with that.
because apparently we have 60,000 in there. No reminder. Thank you for looking that up.
Are there any other items in consent agenda? This is a pretty short agenda, pretty much all grant reimbursements.
I didn't have any.
I had something miscellaneous, not consent, that I was wanting to run by you guys.
What is it?
I talked to Barb about it a little bit this morning. I workshopped the schedule yesterday. And so I have just need your guys' thoughts. I have not emailed anybody. Barb and I have not reached out to anybody about like changing the times. So the highlighted bits there with the courts and stuff is the section that I was really looking at, because I know that the courts are not available in the mornings. But if Human Resources wanted to move their meeting on Tuesdays to 10 a.m. and the courts are available from 1 to 2, and the prosecuting attorney's office.
Sometimes we have rarely had a judge that comes in, like Superior Court will have just the clerk. It's kind of with District Court.
Right.
Up until recently, we've never had a judge join us unless there was a problem.
I just don't know what their schedules look like, but if they are able to move their meeting times like 1 to 2, you could do the courts and prosecuting attorney's office. We could give the prosecuting attorney's office a half an hour if you guys wanted to. I know sometimes they run over when there's no meetings behind them. But if they were able to move their time to Tuesdays, you'd be out earlier on Mondays. There's not really any way to be out earlier on Tuesdays unless you guys were to change the commissioners meeting. But again, that would just be like if HR could move theirs up and if the courts could move theirs over. And I have not reached out to anybody about that yet. Because
we would go back to the 1 o'clock commissioner meetings.
No, it would stay at 2 o'clock. So right now, the commissioners meeting would stay at 2. It would just be if the courts could come in at 1 on Tuesdays.
Okay.
But again, Barb and I have not reached out to anybody. We just wanted to run this by you guys before.
So then the courts would be every other week on this one?
Yes, they
in
would
the
alternate.
yellow?
Yep.
So some weeks, unless there were special meetings, you'd be done at 2 o'clock
On
Monday.
And then 3 o'clock, probably 4 o'clock on Tuesday.
Well,
if there's public hearings, probably
Maybe
4.
5.
Yeah, but if there's no public hearings, then you guys would just be done when the commissioners meeting is done, unless there are any other special meetings. But that would, scheduling wise, that would make it a little easier for outside entities if they're wanting to meet with the commissioners. But again, that kind of hinges on whether or not these people are
Well, we
able
could
to
leave
do their
that
meetings.
from 1 to 2 open, so you have people who want to come in.
oh, I see what you did. You did, where they would rotate.
Yes.
I like it. Thank you for doing.
Yeah, if you guys like that, then Barb and I can start reaching out to people to see about moving their meetings.
I'll do whatever's needed.
The only thing I would say was see if the courts could be at one and PMRT could start at two, because some weeks PMRT is based on position requests. So,
Oh, just put
The-
PMRT at the end, so if we don't.
but
have
it depends on courts,
Okay. Well, because yeah, if they can move to Tuesday, then
because PMRT is like, well, when it was PMRT, now it's PMR, but like there were certain months we didn't have any meetings. So,
if the courts move to Tuesday and PMR is your last meeting from 1 to 2
Oh,
and they
okay.
cancel, then,
yeah, then it wouldn't matter.
but yes, if they can't move to Tuesday, I can ask about.
Well, if they run over, then they can be last too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I appreciate you doing that.
Sure thing. Barb and I can start reaching out to people then this week and see. It might not happen next week, but probably I would say. Probably
I think some of them were ready to see us in 2 weeks.
Yes, I would be surprised if some of them.
Or did you like, yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks, like, wait.
Yeah, they're walking out the door. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Caitlin, for reworking this.
Just think.
Okay, Caitlin, I have, for like 5 days, I have been trying to approve some checks for WCRG. And do we have blockups? I cannot get to the next step that I need to.
Is it on the web or is it through?
No, it's on it's not like a web, but I have like, they feel that I have blockups that are, or pop-ups that are blocked.
And
Because
do you
Lincoln
need-
County, Stevens County, I have to approve theirs.
And you need the pop-ups to not be blocked, is that correct?
Correct.
So there should be something,
Because we're trying to figure out, and they're like, your pop-ups might be blocked, so I can check them, and then there's nothing. So it should have a,
there should be something like the 3 little dots on the far right next to the,
okay,
and I think you can go to your settings and there should be a way to. I think you have to change your permissions for it. So if you search in your settings for,
okay, so if, do I go through here, go to, oh,
I think you still have the tab open for this, the privacy. Yes, if you search, like, just search the word pop, like up here, yeah. And site controls.
there. you
And
go.
then-
And you even have it.
Recent. Yeah, view permissions and data stored across sites. And then you should be able to search, if you know what the site is called, you should be able to find the site and make it so it allows the pop-ups to
Origami, okay.
come. You might be able to search in there at the top, I don't think with that search bar, hang on. Scroll all the way up on this list. Right here. Okay.
Origami.
Pop-ups right there, pop-ups and redirects. I want it to say allow.
Okay, thank you.
And then you might just need to refresh the page and try again, but it should allow the stuff to pop up
Yes,
now.
thank you.
Sure.
Waiting for me to approve this.
Anything else to discuss? If not, we'll take a quick recess until 9 a.m. when we are back with Public Works. Good morning, it's 9 a.m. and we are here for a Public Works update. Hello,
Good morning.
how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, pretty good.
Fabulous. Tuesday.
I did have a couple quick questions.
Shoot.
Is Dave working on narrowing Potato Hill Road? The lanes,
Not-
because there were 3 accidents since Saturday at the same spot as always at that, baseline?
I do not know, but he will be in this afternoon. We'll talk about it.
One of the guys that lives right on the corner now sends me a photo every time he's home and there's an accident. So, because it wasn't worth lowering last year, or the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before. So I told him, hey man, every time there's an accident, send me a photo. And now he is.
You know, they want to lower the speed. Is that what they're?
Yes.
Lower the speed, they think there should, be some other safety things at that corner, at that intersection area too,
Could we
but
make that a 4-way stop at that intersection? I know it's gonna make everybody mad, but,
What, Potato Hill and what was the other road?
baseline.
the main county concern in the past is if you have a similar road somewhere else in the county and you don't do the same thing at that intersection, then you create a liability. Because you just have to have 1% ownership in an accident to be held liable.
Yeah, and that's been done a lot in the past, is changing one without
Yeah.
evaluating the other. That's part of that safety plan that we're working on with that, it's, the Safe Streets for All grant. That's one of the things that will be addressed, is how to take care of stuff like that. But we will talk to Dave this afternoon. He should be in. Because I don't know if that's being looked at.
He called me a month ago probably and just said, hey, because I gave this guy his contact information also, and he said, I've got an idea, I think this would be good, it would help lower the speed, make the lanes narrower so people aren't going 70 through there.
Okay, I'll get you an answer this afternoon.
Cool.
Is that it? You have another question?
No, just,
Okay.
I had sent you guys both the email about watering the Sand Dunes Road during Memorial to keep the dust down. You had said the liability thing. Is that liability of somebody coming around the corner and hitting our truck?
Yeah, drunk people wanting to get sprayed by the water truck. As far as them creating dust, it's already a primitive road.
Yeah.
So we're covered in that regard.
Yeah.
We just didn't feel like it was a great idea, but
Just we're trying to keep roughly 30 feet of road from creating dust when there's 600 acres
Oh,
of
yeah, I get
sand,
that.
you know, that they're all blown around in anyway. But yeah, we get a truck out there and somebody thinks they need to be cooled off by the water truck and we run somebody over, you know, something silly.
It's
Sounds
surprising how-
ridiculous, but it could happen out there.
And people do run out there and want to be sprayed by the water truck. I'm not sure why, but
It seems cool.
it's not a small amount of water.
No, you may think it's fun till you get hit by it.
Yeah, until you really get hit.
Yeah.
Blow
So,
off there. Four-wheeler.
well, we'd like to start with our accomplishment updates by John.
So our litter crew, the two full-time litter crew, did 11.9 shoulder miles of miscellaneous litter in the District 2 area. They finished up in Mattawa.
They're
Moved out.
probably rethinking their job.
They could be. 3 illegal dumps on Grandview. Then also at solid waste, brought in 2,604 net tons of garbage. The road districts are still grading, rock raking, gravel replacement. District 3 is still crack filling. I think they will be done this week, if not early next week. Then everybody will be on to pre-leveling and hopefully seal coat the first part of June. Some minor ditching done in District 3 on M Southwest, and street sweeping south of Frenchman Hills. Bridge crew did an initial inspection on Bridge 418 annual report. They're also replacing, repairing monuments in the seal coat areas. And sign departments doing traffic counts. And we put the first shot of oil on 7.8 northeast and D northeast. So we won't be sweeping that until we get closer to putting that second shot. We're not going to do that till we seal coat. When we come through, we're gonna start up in area 1 and seal coat, and then we'll move to District 2. And when we do that, we'll put the second shot on 7.8 and D. That will give this first shot ample time to cure out and everything. So that's about it.
That'll be sometime in June.
Yeah, they should be there probably about 3 weeks into June, into District 2. We have less miles this year than last year, and last year total was, I think it took us 8 weeks to seal coat all 3 districts. So I'm thinking we're gonna be more in the 6-week range this year. So I'm hoping before the end of July, we will be done with seal coat.
Well, another benefit to John switching us to the one seal coat crew is our crack filling. It's getting done way sooner. I mean, when are you guys gonna start chip seal?
First part of June.
And they're gonna be done. Right now, we have 2 different crack pots running in District 3 to try to, the other 2 districts are done. So they get
You
done.
guys were flat moving last year.
Yeah, it was a good year. I think it'll go the same this year. And then the pipes on Stratford. So we plan on working on that at the same time that Stratford Phase 3 reconstruction happens. It's already going to be closed basically, so we're just going to do those pipes at the same time. And that project starts July 7th, I believe. And so in that same time period, we'll work on those pipes.
Those great big pipes out by Wilson Creek, do we need to replace? Oh, because
The ones in Stratford,
Yeah, they're on Stratford Road, but
For the stop sign.
we're gonna dig down. We're gonna cut out the pavement, dig down between each pipe as deep as we can, and then start back up with the correct material or a better material that's graded for that and get compaction in that. So the bridge crew will mainly be the ones working on that.
And then we have started some improvements for Black Rock. Did that start this week? Or was that last week?
Yes, BlackRock started, they moved the equipment out Thursday, and they started yesterday on filling some of those holes and doing some maintenance on it to get it where hopefully those don't hold the water. We get some material and build it up and get a path for it to come off the road.
That ought to make me happy.
I don't know if we can make him happy or not, but it's going to be better than what it was for
Won't
sure.
hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and it does have some areas that are pretty bad, but it was like that when you bought out there, so,
It's been like that for
yeah.
30 years.
At least since '01, I know that. Is that all you had, John?
That's it.
We wanted to update you on the West Shore mailboxes. So that was slated and designed to have clusters of mailbox. Was there 12 of them? Something like that. And that was a request by the postmaster. Well, they have gone above the postmaster, and now we are required to put in mailboxes that will be in the sidewalk with the face of the mailbox being equal to the curb. So that means that we have to add 2 to 3 feet on the back of each mailbox to maintain our 5-foot ADA accessible sidewalks. So that was a major change that it's not going to look good, but it is what it is.
So are we gonna take more property then, if it has to go on the backside?
I think we have the right of way to do that 2 feet. That didn't sound like an issue.
We have 8 feet back there, so a 5-foot sidewalk is now at the
So
mailbox
it's kinda
locations are gonna be
like a
7
little-
foot.
Okay,
So we still have our 5 foot around the back of the
so every
mailboxes.
home now has a,
Well, and then all the mailboxes are on the east side. So the homes that are on the west side, the mailboxes will be in front of the people on the east side's house as well. So they'll have 2, 3, whatever across each one, however many that.
But it's just going to be,
But this is kind of what they asked for by going
I'm
above and
wondering if they were notified that this would happen, if they would want to proceed forward with this, or if they would revert back to the clusters.
I don't know. We apparently have the clustered mailboxes that we ordered. Those are all gonna be going back. And then we have to buy, they will all be the same post stand scenarios that goes in the concrete as a sleeve and then slides in there. So if they get hit and broke off, it's an easy removal. You don't have to dig out a sidewalk, but that's all a big change order that's gonna have to happen.
the good news is we're not very far into pouring sidewalks, so it didn't affect us too much that way, but, it, anyway, it's,
Well, I'm wondering when it starts, if we get some calls,
well, I'll guarantee we will.
and then they will revert back to the clusters.
I think we gotta decide one way or the other. If this is the way it's gonna be, we can't keep going back and
No,
forth,
but
you
it
know?
just seems like the clusters would be the easier way, but I didn't think we were the ones that asked for the clusters, and, it's just.
Apparently
going
we
back and
weren't.
forth.
It was the postmaster that asked for them, and we obliged, and it seemed good to us. That, man, the sidewalks would have looked a lot nicer without mailboxes sticking out of them, but they went above him because they couldn't get him to change his mind.
They went a few above him to some safety and I don't remember what the term was, but they went way above the postmaster and then he was told this is what's gonna happen.
So it's,
Here we go.
personally think it's unfortunate, and you watch, now we'll get complaints that they're putting mailboxes up and not clusters, so.
Well, who gets to make that decision? Is it our decision or is it their decision?
That's a postmaster decision because they're his mailboxes. So,
Paying for it?
no.
Then it should be our decision.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but it's,
What are they gonna do? I mean,
I don't know. But that can't get completed quick enough, so.
Amen.
So now you're gonna have a bunch of, basically a 7-foot sidewalk with mailboxes and then it's gonna narrow back down to 5 feet and then you get to the next driveway or house and it's gonna go to 7 feet and then back to 5 feet
Did
to
they
accompany
have them
those
on both
sidewalks.
sides previously?
I
No,
don't,
I think they were always
They're
on one
always on
side.
that
well,
one side,
were they?
okay.
That's the way I understand it.
And they can't, okay, so they'll have two mailboxes, like sharing a post, okay.
I don't know if they'll share a post or have individual posts,
they'll
but
be
yeah, there
together.
should be the person across the street and there's the
Okay.
person having a mailbox, two of them in front of their house.
Kind of share our own, we just put a big post or
And we've had people that they wanted two approaches because they wanted to be able to make a circle drive out of their thing, and we gave them 32 foot because to give the distance between this approach and the next one, then the second approach they wanted, there was a giant tree. So we're
Oh,
not
is
gonna
this,
cut it out the curb and put an approach there for you. When we gave you 32 feet, you can make your own circle on your property and come out the same approach.
Sure.
So
I had a call last.
her, that's the one.
Okay. And I
She's,
think it was because it was a vacant field or, yeah. Thank you for taking care of it.
so we had the engineer look at it and he explained to us it wasn't like she got a 20-foot approach and that was it. She has 32 feet. She can get back to her other part through that
Okay.
easily. So you might know the name. You remember Tom
Lisa.
Harless?
Lisa Curry. I think Lisa Curry.
Yes, this is Tom Harless's daughter or daughter-in-law. Yeah. So one of them's Tom's place and then her
Yeah,
right
across
there.
the street.
So, yeah. So it's, he's dealt with her, Todd has about that. As far, and I gave him the number and he was gonna call her again to verify everything was good.
And again, I just listen and there's not a whole lot I can do other than
Yep.
try to pull up the map and figure out what she's talking about. Thank you for working with her.
I think we'll all be thrilled when that's completed.
Did Tom work for the county?
He was a road grader and a foreman for a short time.
He was the foreman of Royal City when I got hired.
And then he got injured, shoulder got injured at work, and so he was here doing parts for the central shop, kind of light duty. And then I think that's about when Derek was here and he retired after that.
The other thing I wanted to discuss, anything else on West Shore?
Well, I'm sure there's more to come on the mail.
I drove up
there.
You almost want to send a little letter out. This is what it's gonna look like. Wait, I'm gonna change my mind. I don't know if there's a lot of people complaining or if it's just one that was spearheading
There's a
the
lot
charge.
They were
Over the
complaining about the
mailboxes?
clusters.
about everything.
Yeah, but the mailboxes, I only.
Mailboxes are multiple people too.
Okay.
It was one for sure spearheading it that it was against the law and there was a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of, she knew all the legal terminology
Somebody
of
was
it
a
all, but
postmaster.
Because there
were
wasn't a
plenty
new
of them.
development, we couldn't require it. But I will be stunned if we don't get complaints now that we went away from the clusters, so.
Well, just make sure you keep that person's name and phone number and just refer them to them.
Share the love.
Don't tell me.
Well, we didn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing I wanted to discuss with you is, our engineer position has been open since Dave notified us he was moving on, and we have 0 applicants.
What you have to look and see what the neighboring engineers are paying.
Well, one thing I'm considering is, and that's what I want to talk to you about, is promoting it on like Prothman or some other website and expand our reach. I don't know what else to do. I thought I had a decent candidate, but they ended up being a mechanical engineer, not civil. So we have nothing.
Or what's our salary for engineers?
I think that's band 23.
But
Don't know what
do you
that-
know what it's? There's a Quadco meeting, yeah.
it's like 130 to 150. annual.
I would say that would be competitive, but
Okay. I'm trying to look for our neighboring counties.
for, like Adams County, what's his name? Geez, I'm drawing a blank. I even asked him to come to work here. Scott Yeager.
Where's it currently listed at? website.
Yeah, and I think it's on Indeed. Is it Indeed that NeoGov uses?
I think so,
Yeah, I
yes.
think it's Indeed. But we tried it with the assistant county engineer. We put it on there and there was like a fee of like a few $100s to put it on there. And they had an option to promote it where they actively recruited. That was, I don't know, a couple $1,000s. So I would start with the couple $100 one where engineering is keeping its head above water with Dave coming in twice a week, but we just had another one tell us at the end of the month that he's leaving, so we need to do something. And I'm grateful to Dave and the city for allowing him to do that.
Yeah, and then don't have one, and he can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're
We're
stuck,
stuck.
yeah.
We need to do whatever we need to do to get it out there for more potential employees.
Yeah, okay. We'll work with HR to start that process. And
But it looks like 110 to 150 is the salary range, as I'm Googling this. But it doesn't say, I'm pulling up Chelan's right now to see if I can find it.
so I don't think compensation wise, we're far
We're
off.
just not notifying the right person.
Yeah. And I talked to a couple of WashDOT engineers.
I would work with HR, because I don't want to go around HR and just let them know that you are requesting to put it on Prothman.
We will, and maybe there's a better one than Prothman. I don't know. They're the experts in that, but we'll talk to John to figure that out and see what we can't make happen.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, okay, that's all we had. Do you guys have any other questions?
Just the consent item. Any questions on the consent item?
Obviously not, if I can't remember what it was.
It's Port District, afraid of Port
Pothole
District.
filling.
Potholes and a little bit of paving, edges and such, so.
Again, thank you for these little things. It's nice knowing what everybody's up to.
Shiloh creates them from all the stuff the supervisors turn in every Monday.
11.9 miles, shoulder miles of trash.
Yeah. Because before, our seasonal litter crews would just go pick up illegal dumps. These folks are walking every bit and picking up all of it, so.
And Jason's trying to do, and I thought this was really smart, in the morning till noon, go out and walk, do the edges. And then in the afternoon, you're getting tired, it's getting hotter,
Right.
then go do an illegal dump where you spend some time driving to the dump, you load it, and then you have to haul it a little bit of less walking and try not to burn them out, because
Especially the warmer it gets, it's
Yeah.
gonna be better.
they have a lot to do. But it's one of those things, like I said, I think last week with the spraying, what I like about it is the results are tangible. They're just like weed spraying. It's either alive or it's dead. I like that. So, but they're bringing in a lot of garbage, so it's gonna take a little bit to do 2,500 miles.
Well,
So,
not every area. We just have some.
Up north isn't bad really at all. Heartline,
Yeah.
even from Wilson Creek North, really typically doesn't have a lot of illegal dumps. It's gonna be Moses Lake and
South Grant County.
South Grant County, yeah.
around the transfer station, there's a lot, people just have stuff blowing out on their way to the transfer station, and there'll be a lot of walking the roadsides, but it'll get better. So,
Well, yeah. Hope they don't find a better job. They enjoy their morning walk. Well, thank you.
well, thank you. That's all we have.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we'll go to recess until 9:30 when we're back with the sheriff's office. Good morning, it is 9:30 a.m. and we are here with Phil Coates for Sheriff's Office Jail Update. What kind of jail update can you give us today, sir?
Well, I appreciate your guys' time this afternoon, and it's not just gonna be the jail update, it will be the sheriff's office update, 'cause I got something that kind of hot off the press as of early this morning. just shortly before 3 o'clock, I don't know if you saw your the Facebook post or not, but the State Patrol advised of a vehicle that had a Amber Alert on it from Oregon. They end up finding the vehicle at the Winchester rest area. Got into a small pursuit, which also with State Patrol, also was a couple of our deputies, and end up doing a pit maneuver. Immobilized the vehicle and able to safely get the two children that were allegedly kidnapped out of Oregon. So they are in
Was
safe,
it
safe
a
hands.
relative or?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have any of that information right now. All I know is we have two people sitting in our jail right now. One's not being very cooperative whatsoever. The other one's being somewhat cooperative, but the children
One
are
will
in
be
safe
transferred.
hands. Yeah, so.
At least the kids are safe, that's all that matters.
That, that is all that matters. It's exactly right. Yeah, so it's a kudos to the State Patrol and the deputies that were able to act quickly and find the vehicle and apprehend them. For the last several months, we have been very busy with interviews, not only promotional interviews, but entry-level interviews. Staffing-wise now, with taking into consideration the conditional offers, Sheriff's Office Patrol is still short 2. The jail is, again, taking into consideration the conditional offers, we are short 3 positions, which 6 months ago, a year ago, we were almost in DEFCON 4. Staffing wise, we're really starting to see an increase on our recruitment, on our people just submitting their names, going through public safety testing, completing the application process. A lot of that I have to contribute to the significant wage increase that we've all participated in over the last few years in the building of the new jail. So we're really starting to see our return on investment on the recruiting and really seeing an increase on all of our numbers altogether. Along with that, with the jail, yesterday I completed something that we've been talking about for the last several months is the RFP for medical services. Blair took a look at it yesterday. He gave me the thumbs up. Right now it's sitting in Barb Duderbeck's office waiting for her review, for her approval. Once the RFP gets the thumbs up, I'd like to have that thing submitted by the end of the week or published by the end of the week. I'm going to be going down to Fort Worth next week with the 2 lieutenants for the American Jail Association National Conference, where they're going to have a huge floor, nothing but a bunch of vendors, medical providers, be able to kind of get our name out there a little bit more on a national perspective than just here local in Washington State. There's been a lot of agents, medical providers withdrawing from Washington State. A lot of it due to the fact of there's no lawsuit cap on medical or malpractice lawsuits in Washington. Point being the lawsuit that was originally settled in Spokane County for $27 million. Agencies can't afford that. I don't care how rich you are, how much you have bonds and your insurance, agencies can't cover that. Luckily, that specific case 2 weeks ago was renegotiated to $9 million for a settlement. That again, that was resulted in an in-custody death. Counties are seeing a huge increase in their overall insurance from the risk pool just because there's so much liability inside of a jail and providing that standard level of care. So that's going to be getting kicked out. We are currently, right now, I got 2 lieutenants still sitting in it. We're in that sequential interface mapping course with Chelan and Okanagan counties. So we're sitting in there. I was part of the one about 18 months ago, I think it was, in Chelan. So a lot of it for me is kind of a rehash of kind of lessons learned. I know that we had a pre-meeting yesterday with Dale Anderson and some of his staff and just talked about how better the relationships have been over the last year and a half, and really trying to learn to speak the same language in a sense. and being able to see what kind of resources are out there and what our capabilities are to be able to really lean on each other and support and help each other to, at the end of the day, you know, if we have a person in crisis, that's who should be our main focus, is the person in crisis, not point the finger at, well, that's not ours, it's not ours, it's not ours, so forth, so forth. So looking forward to seeing what the end result is on this one, getting the lieutenants involved in it so they can kind of see from a bigger perspective than what they typically do. So looking forward to it. Signed a letter of support for the Big Bend Behavioral Health course. That's very new to Big Bend. The first classes start fall of this year. The intent behind that is to bring in some of the students to have kind of their clinical time spent inside the jail. A couple years ago, we contracted with Big Bend Nursing Program. So not only are we going to get the nursing students in and kind of helping them in get introduced to the correctional mindset of the correctional medicine, but we're also going to be able to get into people that are trying to specialize in behavioral health. So if we can become a learning correctional facility as well, I'm 100% for it, and hopefully it'll get more buy-in to people wanting to work for us, and also kind of help broadcast what all corrections does into the community, because it's community focused. So, but a lot of people they don't know what happens inside of a jail. So,
And that may not be a bad thing.
no, it's not a
mean,
bad
The
thing.
educational piece would be good.
So, and that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
As you're in and outs, you have a lot of new stays, or you're not taking much, or?
So you're referencing the bookings?
Yeah.
So we've had a pretty significant uptick of bookings. A lot of that has to do with our population starting to drop down. About 3 weeks ago, we were right at about 100.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I don't ever recall it being that low.
Oh, it's been a while since it's been down to 100. Unfortunately, we still have just the 3 holding cells and booking that's still the bottleneck for everything. But with our population going down that low, we're able to start bringing in more, especially the misdemeanors. So in the last 3 weeks, we have doubled the amount of misdemeanors that we were booking, 6 months ago. So if you look at like our intake sheets, we're getting up to 10 to 15 bookings every single day, which is a huge increase of 3 to 5 bookings every day. With that, of course, it's a double-edged sword. A lot of the misdemeanors, they're the ones that are bringing in a lot of the healthcare problems that we ended up having to deal with, substance abuse disorders that we're having to deal with. And if you want to look at our overall recidivism rate, that's going to start really bumping our recidivism rate up for Grant County. But we've been booking almost twice as many over the last few weeks. So it's good to see it. It's good to see our law enforcement partners out there and battling crime. Good question. Thank you.
Oh,
You guys have definitely been arresting some people.
Yep, absolutely. They did the eviction last week for the homeless camp in Hiawatha. I don't believe that we booked anybody off of that. I know they extended it until, I'm gonna say maybe next Monday to be able to get everything moved, because there was a lot more out there than what everybody had originally thought. So they extended it a little bit.
They were kind of hiding a little further out on the north end. Do you know, are they still working on the eviction on Airway Drive on the castle?
That I do not know anything about.
Josh would probably know.
Yeah, Josh would know, yeah. Any other questions?
I don't have any more.
All right.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And enjoy your,
Sim mapping.
well, the sim mapping and when you go to the conference for the
Oh.
jail.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to it. First time we've ever been to the national conference. So it's, it's a great thing that we're going, appreciate the opportunity, and then just look forward to seeing what all is out there. You know, a lot of times we don't know.
Have you ever been to San Antonio?
Actually, San Antonio, no, so we're going to Fort Worth.
Okay.
My mom lives about 45 minutes north of Dallas. I grew up in West Texas,
Okay.
so I'm pretty familiar with that area. So hopefully get to visit my mom while I'm down there too. All right. All right, well, thank you all.
We'll go to recess until. Is that it? Until 10 a.m. We're back for facilities. Good morning, it is 10 a.m. and we are here for facilities maintenance update.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. I'll start and hand it off to you. So just a recap, yesterday after our luncheon, I had an interesting conversation with Craig Morrison, our coroner. He highlighted the need for an isolation room in the new coroner's office. At the hospital, they had one incorporated, but we won't be at the hospital, so he's going to have one. And he pointed again back to Cowlitz County as the example of a morgue we should be using. So, and he did go out and get pricing for a CT scanner and full body x-ray, which will be integral to his death investigations while reducing the need for that forensic pathologist. So tomorrow we do have a meeting with the architect, and we'll start with a direction forward, and then I'll be able to update you more completely. And then other meetings that I have this week, tomorrow's weekly jail meeting, change order meeting, the RAB meeting, GCTS staff meeting, also meeting with Joe Crete regarding time clocks, and the coroner's office meeting. Today I had a RAB meeting with the DOT and the PUD, and he pointed to a law about latecomers agreements for streets, and I've sent that to Jim Cook and to our prosecutor to see if there's some way we can do that. He also said that their share of the money had gone up. So he's trying to find out exactly how much that's going to be. So instead of 463, it might be $600-something thousand that the DOT is giving to us. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Good morning, everyone. Not quite as much fun as Tom is having, but we definitely got some things going on. Friday, we had an issue with a member of the public not wanting to leave the courthouse again. They were down in the law library, and the custodians called in the police and had them escorted off. So
After hours.
it was after 5 o'clock.
Was it Felix?
Nope, it was a new one. So I'm working with security, and they should be checking those spaces before they leave. So I think I'm going to talk to them again today, firm that up, and then talk to their supervisors and make sure they're doing those checks so that the custodians aren't finding them, because they're just little women. So they see somebody in here after hours, it scares them quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, imagine.
And see if we can't get that eliminated so we don't have it and have those girls finding them. Working on museum projects. So we've got the tree trimming got done for them this weekend. We got them some boards so they can start replacing the boards that are rotted in the boardwalk and fixing those up. They got some roof leaks I need to go investigate and see what's going on. And then also we have the front porch repairs. So the front porch on that thing, it doesn't look bad from the road except for some missing shingles. It's got the old cedar shakes shingles on it. But if you look up underneath there, the plywood is starting to rot. So it needs quite a bit of work. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but it just needs to get fixed up, and we're kind of working through how we want to approach that and get that done. So some things going on with the museum. We should be getting the survey this week completed for the sign. So the electronic reader board that they've got a grant for, they're supposed to finish up that survey. The leading edge of that sign cannot go past the property line, so it's kind of going to change where that sign is placed. It's going to be more down towards Soap Lake. Just about, there's a pole out there that's just past the current sign, and I think that's a place where, the location where that will get placed. Working with King Buildings, so we got the dentist building over here that needs keying, and then also the sheriff, so getting key counts on that. But working with the companies that do that keying, came up that there's a pretty interesting way to do that, to minimize the number of keys that we actually would hand out. So actually, the keys never, if we go with this system, and I need to sit down and talk to you about it, the keys never leave the site. So what happens is you use your card to get into the building. You go up to a box, you scan your card, it opens up, and then whatever keys you have permission for are in a door lock kind of. It releases that. It'll get a green light next to it and say you can use these keys. You can pull that out. You go do your day and you set it, let's say they have a 12-hour shift, you set a clock on that key, and if they don't return it, it starts sending messages to that individual to return the key that, it has to go back. And then if they still don't do it, you can escalate that to supervisors and keep going as high as you need to get that key back and put in place. So the keys never leave the site. I don't, that's not the name that they had. It was.
Is it the same cabinets that they have right now?
It was key looker, not key watcher.
Key tracker, but it also had capabilities where they had things, and I gotta talk to the sheriff and catch up with them, but they're in and out all week with conferences. They have, like if they're carrying mace bottles, that they can check out the mace bottles. It actually weighs it to make sure that there's mace in it or whatever repellents they're using. And then when you put it back, it tracks the weight that when it goes back in to see if they had used it or anything like that. So for their accountability and accreditations, it would give them those reports that they could pull out of there and see what's going on. So it was pretty cool. But I also saw the application working here at the courthouse. We've been talking about rekeying this courthouse, for a couple of years. I see that as being something that we could use here and put in a couple locations. And then again, the keys never leave the courthouse. And then whoever checked it out and took it, there's an automatic trail right to them to get it back. So
There'll have to be a key locker at the single point of entry.
it could be, because it could be actually, depending how you want to do it, there's multiple ways you could set it up, and you can use your phone as the RFID to get into it. There's all kinds of different ways this thing functions. But the biggest thing to me is the key never leaves the site, so it doesn't end up going home with somebody getting lost. And then we have to worry about recording every facility. Like if I lose my key ring, that's a mess. So, that's Renew, these buildings, fairgrounds, Public Works. It would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So, and then they make an RFID tracker for this, that if we did have a key ring with all these on there, that you couldn't lose it. So it might be something that we have to look at. So it was pretty cool. Other things that we got going on, site supervisor for sheriff's facilities position has been offered. We should know if he's accepted by the end of the day. There was a couple of questions that were hanging out for the person it was offered to, so we got those answered, and I would anticipate that we have that position filled. Our maintenance 4 position, which is backfilling for Abel, who went to be the Public Works site supervisor, we do not have any applicants for that position yet. So working with HR, we'll see if we can figure out a way to get people to apply for that.
And Andy took an extra minute yesterday at lunch again to compliment Abel and Eli and what they've seen.
Okay.
They're super, super happy.
Yeah. And then they've been busy, right? I mean,
Pass that on to them because, we rarely hear the good, so pass it on to him.
No, that he's on it. So, and he's doing a great job. But I think we're going to have a fairly extensive capital list for Public Works. We got compressors that are from 1996 we're fighting with right now. We're trying to find parts for it. It's just a little part, but we're just having issues because of the age finding parts. Just going through all the assets and with the age that they're at and the condition they're in, we're gonna put together the list and figure out what are the needs for the upcoming year. And then, yeah, we'll see what we can afford, I
A lot
guess.
of deferred maintenance and
Well,
another
they
good
will, yeah,
candidate,
that will be coming out of their budget, so they will be.
another good candidate for facilities condition assessment.
Yes, for sure. So, yeah, a lot going on at Public Works. They're working hard at it. Eli's, you know, the new guy up there with Abel, the young guy, he's doing a super job as well. He's demonstrated a lot of skills that he probably didn't even advertise or talk about in his interview, but, you know, he's got some electrical skills. He's definitely got some construction skills and just a good head on his shoulders overall. So very happy with the crew that's working up there right now.
Good.
And the submittal or the request for qualifications that we had out there, we received 6 submittals of qualifications from firms for architectural and engineering on-call services. We graded them out, but at the end of the day, with only 6 of them submitting and having a little bit different skill set, we went ahead and put all 6 on our roster. So that being said, 3 of them pretty much will get used right out of the gate here. So I have a meeting this afternoon with Renew, and we'll talk about their lobby remodel, and we'll talk about who we think is the best candidate out of those 6 that submitted to do that project. We got a project at Public Works for remodeling a break room and then moving the break room out into a shop and moving a stairway. So there's some structural things there that we need to be aware of before we go moving things around. And then also Wheeler Road. So we'll use one of those firms to go out and take a look at Wheeler Road and see how we can put windows into that building if it's possible. The one thing of that was kind of funny about putting windows into that building is that we went, they had whiteboards put up and started putting them and they're like full wall whiteboards, and they're on the walls where the windows would go. So, well, no, they haven't said no yet. So I need to go have a discussion with them and see exactly what they want to have done with that. So.
Yeah, might double check with them. Maybe they don't need the windows now.
So, yeah, I'll make that part of my round down there today and visits. So. And then there's a little bit of work. We still got work to do at the VA office as far as painting and patching holes in the walls, but the move for the most part has been completed. It's just touch up and making everything really nice and pretty. That's about it.
Questions for facilities?
Us?
I think I just dropped a hint, a lot of money next year.
Oh, well, that would be Public Works. They have a tendency, what's their,
No, I think I get all the support from you guys.
what?
I get enough support from you also.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that
No, I
very
think
much.
Public Works, when they close their budget here.
Yeah.
Well, they are down from 10 million down to 9 million, but I think they're reimbursable for the road stuff. We have a pretty solid budget, Public Works.
And some of that I know has been earmarked for pumps, and we just gotta figure out which pumps they wanna go after. So Moses Lake has newer pumps, so we were thinking, you know, in the conversations with Andy and John and James Davis is part of that now as well, is that doing the Freda pumps because they're older and updating them. There was discussion back and forth of whether it was the electronic pumps or it was the mechanical pumps that they would go with, but we'll have more conversations and figure that out. We do have a dashboard out there where we are tracking requests and work orders, and since we've done that like over a month ago, we've had 2 requests so far. One was a quick reset, one where we are waiting for a part for the Freda unleaded pump. That should be here pretty quick. And then they'll all be functional. So it's again, knock on wood, been fairly quiet, but I think the worst time of the year when these systems really show exactly when it's cold out is when we'll see most of the issues.
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
Nothing else for either of you? No? All right.
10:15.
Roll right along. TS update.
All right, so while they're passing that stuff out, we'll have to send out another reminder that purchases of IT equipment, including printers, which Mandy was about to purchase, must go through GCTS.
We did refer them back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for catching that.
Yeah, yeah.
They were totally,
So we just need to send out some reminders, yeah, because that still happens. So Joe's gonna discuss some server issues they had yesterday and some of the headache they went through, and then unfortunately Keith's got changes in Laserfish pricing structure to talk about.
yeah.
Go for it, Joe.
All right, so yesterday, we had a thing. One of the Gen 9 HP DL380 servers that, it's one of the older ones that we've already surplused out. We continue to use stuff until they, perish, which we
Get our
did.
money's worth.
So we had a catastrophic failure of a server yesterday. We removed it from the rack, reseated the components, slapped it back in there. We ran for 20 minutes, shut down again. That was the last time it turned on. So Keith migrated a bunch of the virtual machines in VMware back into the cluster to free up one of the other Gen 9s. And then we pulled it out, and then we took the hard drives out of the one and slapped it in the other, crossed our fingers, and it powered on and it came on. We're like, yay. So then we stuck it back in the rack, and
It was a Hail Mary.
yeah. So hence the Frankenbox, Frankenstein reference. So we no longer have any compute buffer. That capacity is at its base minimum, I would say. Failures like this are exceedingly rare. I don't think we've had a server actually die.
I can't remember the last time.
I can't.
First time in 9 years that I've been here.
Yeah,
that we've had a
so,
failure like that.
We're gonna be skating along at this until January of next year, which is when the Gen 10 servers that are our primaries now come up due for quad, and then we'll be getting replacements in January. And then I had Keith check, and the Gen 10s are still under warranty until February of next year, which is when they were purchased. So, 5 years ago. We made it through, and hopefully everyone was,
The only complaint I heard it wasn't even really a complaint, it was just a question from
yeah.
Commissioner Burgess,
Yeah.
why a certain website didn't work. So
Everyone seemed to be.
that
very
was the
understanding.
reason, was this server
The
malfunction.
crop
So
research website existed on that server, so.
it
Yeah.
actually affected quite a few folks.
It
So,
ended up, yes, but we got it fixed, so. One kind of fairgrounds cameras, we have 6 more cameras to install. That's on the 6 light poles that they're installing now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when those poles are in, we've got 6 cameras and we're done.
and they've pulled off they're gonna install those poles next week, because they have WASAT this week, and they're
Okay.
using every inch of the fairgrounds, so they pulled off this week. But so next week, those poles go up.
Sweet. And then we've got all the other cameras that are at the fairgrounds are now running through the Ubiquity Protect UNVRs. I took some time this last week to show Jim how to scrub video and pull video
good.
for himself.
Good for you.
So the way it was working was the NVR, the thing that actually records the video, will send traffic all the way out to Ubiquity, and then it turns and comes back to the client that's trying to view the deal. And there was a lot of latency in that connection. So when Jim was trying to look stuff up, it kept erroring out. The Axis cameras that we have added to it over the OnVIF, they don't buffer so well. Because they're not designed specifically for the system. And OnVIF is the new way of doing this through Ubiquity. So they're kind of working the bugs out. I got Jim direct access to the NVR units within, a lot closer hop. And when you do that, then it works just fine. And then we also learned that the Vivotech cameras, which are on VIF, they scrub a lot better. You can actually take the slider and go up and down and watch the sun go across the sky and watch shadows go across the ground. It's really slick. So the Axis camera's kind of buffer goes blurry, and then it waits a second and clears up, and goes blurry and waits a second and clears up. So as we get more Ubiquity cameras, they're designed for the system, and they also scrub the same way that the Vivotech cameras do, and they stay in like full HD the entire time. So they're like super crisp and sharp. It's really nice. So yeah, we're almost done out there. It's going really well.
And then we've got monitoring stations set up in the sheriff's booth, or
We're getting stuff. Yeah, this is part of the deal. There's TV in there now. There's a device that we're going to get that talks to the NVR units, and you just pre-program the things that you want it to be able to see, and it just pops up on the screen. So it'll just be there as a display form. So it'll be pretty slick. Prosecutors and printing in district court. So I had a lengthy conversation with Judge Gwynn last week. We discussed the details on printer installation, specifically locations, mobility. The printers are going to be on carts. We ordered the printers, we ordered the carts, we notified the parties that the printers and carts were ordered so that they would calm themselves. We had one of the remote attorneys actually showed up yesterday and picked up their laptop, and we got them logged in and they were ready to go. The other attorney had their laptop shipped to them by the prosecutor's office, and TS is coordinating with the prosecutor's office and the attorney to have a remote session with that attorney to get them logged in and online and all that stuff. So
kind of new.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, kind of new. So it's an experiment.
The guys seem to have a plan for doing it. So they were like, yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. All right, cool. So we'll see if it works. The data center power upgrade. As we know, we didn't get to do that the way we wanted it to. So we rescheduled it for May 30th, starting at 5 p.m. That's going to be on a Friday. That gives us the entire weekend. If something happens to go wrong, we've got time to troubleshoot stuff. We did it at night because, well, there's just fewer people here at night, fewer people to throw a fit over it. So that's going to happen. We did learn one other thing. The landfill, they just are like super crazy about, we got to be online. It's like, it's just garbage, people. Like I said, we take care of law enforcement, and
they're all of that. Oh, they're worried about their point and pay their billing.
I get that. And they were like, just slam, well, we're essential. I'm like, so are cops. So sometimes things go down. You have to have contingency plans. I was trying to be nice. You know, they were being very gracious about the whole thing. We're trying to figure out ways to make them more resilient out there. Apparently their weights server, which is part of the equation, is actually a VM that lives here. We're finding that it has to be on talking to the stuff there for payment to go through. So we're going to get a hold of Paradigm, the company that built the whole system, and work with them. I think we might end up putting hardware at the landfill for the entire setup.
Is Paradigm still in business?
That's who's running it. I wish it was someone else. I swear to you, I wish it was someone else. Oh, they've plagued us for a long time. So we're trying to get that figured out, and it just continues to just be crazy. So we're going to get past that. Email and web stats. We had 54,000 total emails this last week. 6,000 were blocked and quarantined. No viruses were found in the emails. We blocked 1.5 thousand websites out of 23 million accessed. 23 blocks were categorized security related, and those were related to phishing or malware. So 3 really bad ones were stopped. And now Keith is going to tell you the really cool things about laserfish.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to start on a happy note. I'm going to talk about our help desk. We had in the last week, we had 61 tickets created. 38 of those were closed, 23 remaining open. Top closers are Seth and Evan still. Jeremy's in third. Yay. Sheriff's Office and HR are our top contributors for tickets right now. And I keep saying, we love to see that because that means you're communicating. So on to Laserfish. So I got a call about a little over a week ago now, and I've been trying to hash out all sorts of details about this from our CDI, that's Cities Digital, our vendor for Laserfish, and she informed us that Laserfish was changing their licensing structure. Starting in, it's going to be 2030, they will no longer have perpetual licenses, which is the license model that we are on. So everybody who uses Laserfish will have to be moving to a subscription license by 2030. At the end of 2025, they will stop selling any perpetual licenses, period. So in that case, for what that means for us is that we have approximately 130 full user licenses that are perpetually licensed. We have 100 participant licenses that are perpetually licensed. The cost is going to take us, license costs will increase for full licenses. Right now, we're paying an annual renewal license of $193 per user per year. And that's going to jump to $660 per user per year. Participant licenses going from $66.99 per user per year to 110 users per user per year.
Now, I would preface that as well as we're not paying the big hit though anymore. It's just the licensing fee moving forward, right? Because right now we pay like $3K for like a perpetual license.
Yeah, there's an upfront cost per license. But
right.
Now it's just that $660 per
So
user
the
per
maintenance
year.
we're paying, there is an increase in that.
Yeah.
But there won't ever be that big hit,
Upfront.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll gradually climb though.
Yeah.
30 people that are using Laserfish,
Yes.
or do we have, because I know I had a license and I've never used it.
We reallocate often and we check with people before we reallocate.
But we will.
The way we have our licenses structured is that each department or office that purchases them, they retain those licenses and they hold them on. So like, for instance, in Kim Allen's office, they have, just off the top of my head, 24 clerks, right? So, she has 24 Laserfish licenses, and if they ever add another clerk to make it 25, then she'd have to purchase another license. But otherwise, when, they have a clerk leave and they hire somebody new, we just reallocate that license.
But
Yes.
we're gonna have to renew those licenses.
We still have to renew those
And
licenses.
Is this the
renewal is
avenue we
gonna-
want to go, is stick with Laserfish? or
Well,
is
I
it-
don't know that's the problem. So first, and so anything we renew is gonna go from, the $90 or $100 to $600 per person.
4 times the money.
190.
Yeah, so it's
Is
a
it
huge.
190 or 93? 193?
It's
Currently 193.
193 per year.
660.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that made Laserfish so attractive was it did a lot of the things you wanted to do. It's a really robust program, but it was also very inexpensive. So this is kind of how they get their hooks into you. I don't know that there's
Lured
an,
us in.
well, I don't know that there's an equivalent out there that's any cheaper.
No.
Right? So that's the problem is, and we've kind of baked ourselves into this architecture now. So
We're very moved in, and
Yeah.
if we were to migrate to another platform, it would be probably as painful as the Tyler ERP transition.
well, I don't know about that, but it would be just as expensive. So
Is there just a way to limit memberships to those, like to offices rather than individuals?
With licenses, yes.
yeah, we'll have to really manage that.
We don't have site licenses. They don't give site licenses for entities our size. They have a site license if you're a small municipality, and yet, I think it was under 150 employees total.
So like City of Ephrata was 66 employees.
They would qualify, but we're too large for that. So when we went to Laserfish and Power, they announced all sorts of really amazing features that are coming out on Laserfish 12 that are going to be for on-prem. But what they didn't say is that all of those features that we want are going to be behind the subscription model. So if we were to ride out until 2030 on our perpetual licenses, we wouldn't be able to take advantage of any of those new features.
They're gonna make it painful.
Yeah. So with CDI, our annual renewal cost right now, if we kept all of our license counts the same, and there's a few other things that we pay for that are from CDI that aren't necessarily Laserfish, the software that they've written that accompanies with Laserfish, we would be moving from $59,992.44 to an estimated $126,329. And then the big kicker is once they put this new licensing scheme into effect at the end of the year, the subscription prices are going to be raised by 17%.
On top of that.
On top of that.
So if they didn't kick you in the teeth hard enough the first time.
We've been with Laserfish for at least the last 10 years, because I remember we got it before when Gary was still here.
Yeah.
So we've had this for quite some time, and kind of in their defense, it's not like it was like they did it 2 days ago, we bought it, and then all of a sudden they're changing stuff. We've had it for quite a while. So, and the subscription model is the way I think all software vendors are starting to go. Microsoft has done that. We're in the middle of that now. Adobe's gone that way. And I don't, even games.
You know what? And you know what just dawned on me is for that subscription fee, the auditor has a budget line for retention of records, right? I'm wondering if we could use some of those grant funds to pay.
Historical preservation, possibly.
Yeah, and
That would be Michelle.
Yeah. We could use those funds to help offset that cost or pay for that cost.
Definitely applies, I think, so.
there are other things that we're looking at to hopefully to maybe minimize some of the cost or change up some of the way that we use our licenses with some of the stuff that Blair is working on. There's a community license that would be very beneficial, which at that point would give what's the equivalent of a perpetual license to pretty much anybody that needs it.
So that's Laserfish.
So we're learning more about it, and it'll take a little bit of time to try and learn how to best use their new model. But it's going to be a change for sure, for certain, so.
Right. The biggest thing is if whatever direction we choose to go, if we choose to stay on participant licenses as long as possible, then we need to try to forecast how many licenses we're going to need and try to purchase those before the end of the year, if there's any money for that.
Yeah.
So,
And it might be something that we cautiously look at too, because if we're paying outright for perpetual licenses, it's going to be a limited amount of time before they're not usable anymore, and that's just a sunk cost again. So,
exactly.
it's
Well, if there's new features.
yeah.
There are, and there's
subscription license.
There's several benefits even right now that moving to the subscription license does get us. One of them is a much better integrated authentication and things like that. So there is value in moving to it. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's just it just, for me on a personal basis, I really despise the subscription model of everything, and
we all do.
It just pisses me off.
Yeah, I think
So-
Well, but I think we need to make sure that we will be using those new bells and whistles.
They-
Oh, certainly, yeah.
We're
I
not using it. or
I
utilizing
believe we will. Some of the features that they are rolling out, one of them is called Smart Fields. And so instead of when you scan a piece of paper, you have to go in and manually add all the metadata about that field. It uses AI to scan that document, and it will automatically fill in all of those metadata fields for you. And this
That's
is
a time saving.
it's a huge time
huge
saver. And this is that one thing right there, having to manually fill out all the metadata is probably the reason that we don't have a greater adoption of laserfish in all the offices and departments because they're afraid of the amount of time that it takes to do that.
Well, it's hard to quantify that
There's a
monetary
lot of
benefit,
overtime.
right? So
Yeah.
the subscription may be a lot more money, but how much time are you saving your
Yeah,
employees by doing that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it could totally pay for
We
itself
had
in time.
overtime last, was it 2024? It was 2024 to do the laserfish scanning, so.
Yeah.
Probably would be a big savings.
we've gone a little bit over.
Apologize.
Any, no, that's all right. Any questions for GCTS?
So Keith, I would recommend talking to Caitlin, because Caitlin is the one in our office that is spearheading the transition of laserfish.
Mhm. Yeah, we-
Or Caitlin, you can get a hold of TS.
You can drop an email to Michelle, I mean, because we don't have to know right now. It could be
Right.
next budget year or something, but at least get a bug in her ear so she can think about it.
I think it's, if it's for historical documents.
Well, and that's what the Laserfish's main focus is digitizing our
Yeah,
documents.
it's preservation, and the other huge benefit to it is we do have the records retention aspect of it, records management. And so when it's done properly, this is what will identify any document that's eligible for destruction, needs to be go to long-term archive. We go through all the RCWs and apply all the proper destruction authority numbers to everything, so that way, it just keeps it all logged, keeps it clean and easy, and keeps the auditors happy.
Just putting in my 2 cents now is the small amount that I have done with Laserfish has been so amazing. And really, we're really only using like the bare minimum tip of the iceberg with it. And if I just like what Keith said with the bells and whistles that are coming out, there's so many benefits. And if we can stay with it, I would love it, especially if we can stay with it and use it to the full extent that you actually can use it for. Just the amount of time that we can save with it and all of the details that you can put in is just really cool.
And Caitlin, I don't think we're planning on trying to go away from it. I think that anywhere we go, you're gonna end up paying the subscription model, and we're already ingrained in this, so it's just, briefing the commissioner so that they're informed that they're going the same way as Adobe and picking our pockets, so.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the auditor's O&M. I'm not seeing the account.
But you're right, Caitlin, and thanks.
There's funds in there. So I would know. Great update, thank you.
Anything for GCTS, I think, all right.
We will go into recess until 10:45 when we're back for a work session.
So, those are the only.
Good morning, it's 10:45 a.m. and we are here for a work session. We could just take those, we could make notes
I think
on
those
a couple items.
Those two items would be something we definitely need to stay on top of.
Caitlin, can you do a couple note items for Public Works agenda for next week? Just Potato Hill Road, readdressing that. We brought it up in the meeting earlier. Also just putting landfill rate study and landfill location on their agendas, because we need to be bringing that up weekly so that we stay on top of it.
I can do that.
And add maybe UGA speed limit into that discussion as well.
And then I'm so sorry, did you say Potato Hill Road? Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
what? Okay.
there's not a hill or potatoes.
Okay.
That's its name.
Okay. Yes, I can get those added. And then, Rob, I'm not sure if you saw my message. Susie had called earlier. She had a question for the commissioners. Huh? Oh, she had a question for the commissioners about contract, like renewal review process. Would it be all right for me to promote her to a panelist so she can talk to you guys?
Yeah.
Good morning. Hey, thanks for fitting me in real quick. With the new schedule proposal, it looks like my first meeting would be on a holiday and then going another 2 weeks. So it would be quite a while before I see you. So I kind of need an answer sooner rather than later. All of our contracts are going to be coming due July 1, and many of them are renewals. They're not, they're very lengthy. They're quite long. Some of them are 40, 50 pages long. But if they are exactly the same except for the dollar amount, and the prosecutor's office reviewed them last year, and they're just a renewal for this year, do you still want them to be reviewed by the prosecutor before you give me permission to DocuSign? I will scrutinize them. If there is any language any different, then of course I'll send them over to prosecutor's office for review. But I know they're so slammed right now, and if we could save them that burden.
I mean, for me, I think if they're verbatim the same and only numbers have changed, I don't see a reason why we should have the prosecutor's office look at them again. But, I mean, we're putting that burden on you.
Not sure why I can't hear you, Kevin, at all.
He
Sorry.
said if the only thing that's changed in them is the value amounts, that he wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't necessarily disagree. I just know that over the last few years, we went through a lot of headaches about reviewing the contract. So I would hate to go back to how it was before after going through everything we've gone through.
Right.
But I mean, in my opinion would be, I would pass it on. And if they didn't review it in a timely manner, I would proceed forward.
Okay, so you'd like me to go ahead and do the same process, send it to prosecutors for review, and maybe just head you up about it. I could also give Rebecca a call and talk to her a little bit about it and see what her input is,
Yeah,
very specifically for just a couple of our contracts.
yeah, I would be supportive of that.
Yes.
Okay,
It would just be nice, I mean, if they don't have a real concern, to be able to just allow you to sign your contract.
typically there's not a lot of surprises. If I get a new contract, for sure, but this stuff is the same work we've been doing for 20 years, so. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Susie. Barb or Caitlin, are there any other topics that we could discuss?
I don't have anything. Barb is on the phone. Let me check real quick. Barb does not have anything either.
Okay, well then, we're going to go into recess until 11:15. The 11 a.m. coroner's office update has been canceled, so we'll be back for the mailroom update. Good morning, it's 11:15 a.m. and we are here for a mailroom update. Good morning.
Morning. I got nothing crazy
Well-
updated, really.
How is the new work that you're doing?
It's good. I like it.
What kind of stuff are you doing?
They had me crushing things for like drives for the first couple of days, and then they said, "Hey, why don't you go get this certification?" So I'm doing that. I'm like, I think 30 minutes, like a 30-minute video away from finishing it.
Oh,
So
wow. So you're like, I need that 30 minutes back.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So it's been working out for you though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I think they like having extra
They do,
hands. So
they do. And I think they're excited that as you continue for it, like all the training things that you're gonna be able to
yeah.
be doing more and more for them.
Well, they have more training stuff. I got it.
More opportunities for growth there.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm glad it's working out.
How many days have you done that?
What was it? I think we're on week 4.
It took us a while to get through the process, so thanks for being patient with us.
So 4 weeks, just about.
What goes into crushing drives?
I was just crushing, like, for the hour and a half.
Just like a hammer?
It was
Or
like
they have a tool?
I forget what it's called. They call it something, but
Oh, they
You
have a
just
name for
punch a
everything.
hole through it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You
Nice.
no longer steal the information.
Yeah. But they showed me exactly what I needed to crush. They took it apart and showed me the insides. Very helpful. Very, very good insight.
Everybody should do that, right?
Probably.
When they
Yeah.
have a hard drive that they need to get rid of.
Yeah. You destroy it rather than do whatever else you want to do with it. You can only wipe it so much, you know. So. But outside of that, nothing crazy. Haven't had any weird complaints, weird mail, nothing like that.
Got Daryl happy again?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he
good.
came up and said thank you. He's a very nice guy.
Sometimes. Oh, he's not me. He just gets, he's very animated, and when he's on a mission, he is on a mission.
Oh, yeah.
Which I like to see. So outside of that, nothing new. Just moving on. Billings, I gotta do billing for postage. That'll be probably the first 2 weeks of June, because I'd have to do May. So that'll be that.
All right, any other questions?
Well, I'm glad it's working out for you.
Yeah.
And if you do have any issues, just please don't wait for an update. Just come directly to one of the commissioners.
Sweet. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
We'll go into recess until 11:30 when we are back for position management discussions. Good morning, it's 11:31 a.m. and we are here for a position management discussion.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm wondering if we should go into executive session for 10 minutes.
Evaluation
Yes.
or disciplinary?
Evaluation.
Okay. And you would like Cindy and Decorah in executive session?
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll be going into executive session beginning at 11:31 a.m., returning at 11:41 a.m. for evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G. We're going to go backstage. Caitlin, if you'd move Decorah and Cindy backstage, I'd appreciate it, or else I will when I get back there.
Yes, sir.
We will extend 10 more minutes to 11:51. Do you want any more minutes, or are we good? We can go 4 minutes more. 4 more? We will extend 4 more minutes.
I'm not really sure at this point.
It's 11:55 and we are out of executive session. Do we have any more discussion? If not, then we will go into recess until 1 p.m. when we are back with HR for an update. Good afternoon, it is 1 p.m. and we are here for our weekly human resources update. We'll begin this session with opening for public comment. I do see we have 2 call-in users. No one is in the room.
Okay, we have 2 call-in users, Jim and Cami. I'm allowing you to speak currently. Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. Jim or Cami, would you like to speak? Okay.
Thank you, Barb. So we would like to go to number 3, employee evaluation, and we're requesting an executive session for about 10 minutes under employee performance.
Okay, so we will be going into executive session beginning at 1:01, returning at 1:11 p.m. for job applicant / evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G. And we'll be taking Cindy and Decorah with us.
Yes. Okay.
We're going to extend executive session 5 more minutes.
Till what time?
1:35.
Give us 5 more minutes.
Talking to you soon. Yes, I'm happy to help.
We are out of executive session. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Next time we meet, it'll be something really fun.
There you go.
Good. Look.
That was not that bad.
No.
Okay, so item number 4, we had a meeting with the auditor earlier today to discuss position management. Is there any follow-up that the board would like to have in regards to that topic? If so, I would suggest an executive session. If not, we
I,
can
it sounds
move on.
like, just gonna move forward on some things and we'll give it a week and see how it's moving.
Sounds good. Number 5, position management, no items. Number 6, budget, finance, and compensation, also no items. Number 7, recruitment. HR does need clarification on the expectations of the position. There was some feedback this week about who the position would supervise. And so I did make copies of the draft job description that was approved by the board with the intent of the position. And before we post, we want to make sure that the commissioners are still in agreement that that is what the expectation is of this new position. So I am looking for your guidance.
Does public health services need to be in it?
I think that was directed to the board. That question?
Do you mean it's kind of, we aren't over public health?
Maybe as a liaison? We can have it stricken if that's what the
Barbara,
board.
where are you seeing that?
Second paragraph. If public health is a county function, then it is, but it's a district here, so it's not.
Mhm.
So that person wouldn't.
It's just making recommendations on. But public health is not, the health district, it would also be things in our office, the grants that come through the public service grants, is that? The homeless, the veteran services sometimes can fall under the.
The main area that came up was the supervision of department heads. Is it still the intent of the board to have the county administrator oversee department heads in all
Perform
areas?
the full range of administrative oversight over departments and ensure efficient and effective operation.
That's gonna be performance evaluations, timesheets, performance discussions, management.
Oh, so they'll do all the
Trainings.
job review, okay.
It'll be the
But they
manager.
will report, they will do updates to the board, but report to the county administrator.
That's my understanding. I don't know about the reporting to the board though. If that's still the board's schedule, I think that that would be,
But I mean, just so we get updates from them.
I think that would, I mean, that I don't know the answer to in this very moment. I think that
It
it's,
was more of an ask than I think that's how it goes.
yeah, I think that's gonna be up to the board, how they want that to flow.
I would like the position to be able to work with them, supervise them, and implement things. It's hard for one of us to hold someone that continuously makes errors accountable as one commissioner. You kind of need that person to do that. And you need them to dig in. It's their duty or job to dig into things and make it move better. Force people to work together when things need to happen.
You're talking about the performance management piece,
Yeah.
the evaluations, the
Not even
disciplinary.
evaluations,
Okay, so in public health, should it just be
human services. even though
yes,
we don't have
human
that.
services
Yeah.
instead of public health? I think that's what I'm.
Could one of you make a comment on that and give it back to me so I can make updates?
Which would be,
You don't have to give it to me right now, just when we're,
well, I can hand it to you and then you can. Must help with employee barbecue.
oh.
So they're gonna have to lift more than 15 pounds to pack the pop and the.
We have dollies, don't we? So I don't mean to rush y'all, but are we in agreement with that job description, how it's written with the exception of the Department of Health
Yeah, this is
statement?
right here.
And the board is in agreement, thank you, that the county administrator has authority and responsibility to perform the full range of administrative oversight over departments.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Okay. I heard from
But yeah, I
Kevin.
was thinking it was all differently, but I'm, okay, because I thought, yeah, they were reporting directly to the board and. Well, so you're, basically, they are replacing the board.
The report to the,
They'll still report to the board. The
Yes.
administrator will still report to the board.
yes.
And if
So
we
the
want to
elected
have
officials and department
updates,
heads.
they will still report to us in updates. But
So if there's a disciplinary issue, we
it
just
would
work
be
it out
through the
with the
executive.
director and he handles it.
Yeah, he or she will handle
Okay.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, and if the board wants to get updates on departments and elected offices, I think that that can still be done, but the direct supervision won't go through the board, would go through the county administrator, as laid out in the job description. So I heard Kevin is a yes, Cindy is a yes, Rob,
I think the only change I had was the
public health.
human, yeah.
Yeah.
Take up public health and human services.
Okay, thank you. Am I interpreting your silence as agreement?
Yeah, I don't know. You're getting a little too excited. I feel like I better reread the print.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm fine. I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, item number 8, benefits. This is just an FYI that at open enrollment, we had 2 employees who elected not to have benefits. One of the staff members did not elect medical insurance. The other staff member did not elect vision insurance. They recently reached out to the HR office requesting reinstatement of that benefit or those two benefits. Our broker is recommending that we not accept changes past February. Because we are self-insured, it affects stop loss and all of these things. That is just an FYI to let you guys know that that communication will be going out to those staff members, that they cannot rejoin the plan without a qualifying life event. A qualifying life event is marriage, birth of a child, or adoption, loss of a hours if there's a job change, or if you lose your job. I feel like I'm missing one, but so just as an FYI to the
Yeah, usually it has to happen during open enrollment.
Yes, yep. And staff are required to go through it and actively select whether they want to participate or
I
not.
read that stern email, and if you don't sign up, don't assume, you will not have your benefits. So it wasn't like a recommendation, it was.
Yes, HR makes all efforts to let staff know that when you make an election, that election is final, unfortunately, unless you have a qualifying life event, at which point there is that special open enrollment. But any questions about?
So they would have until November, December to redo, to get back on.
Yep.
For 2026.
Yep, back on during open enrollment. Yep. Any other questions?
So they can actually get on, but just not right now.
Correct. Yep. Our
Some
window
of the
has
insurances
passed.
are.
Number 9, other. As the commissioners know, the office across the road is going to be finished hopefully end of summer, beginning of fall. And Tom wanted to know if that office space was going to be occupied by HR and central services, or if the board had a different plan to make it just human resources along with payroll. So looking for your guys' feedback on who will occupy that building and if it has changed. The reason it's coming up, and you guys probably already know, but the reason it's coming up is because there's some budgetary, there's some money involved. If it's just gonna be occupied by one department, there's no need for privacy doors, which is about $15,000. If it is gonna be shared space, then privacy doors have to go up, and that cost will be incurred.
That makes sense.
I think the plan is still, I talked to Tom yesterday, it was still HR and 3 employees. Well, it would be Tom, Vanessa, and Kevin.
And HR.
Yes, and HR, HR and.
What was your understanding? Kevin, is that your?
That's the way I've always understood it.
Okay.
From the very beginning.
Rob?
Central Services HR.
We'll give Tom that direction,
What direction?
that central services and HR will occupy.
I thought that he made the recommendation of that based on working with you guys.
Yeah, there was some discussion about potentially HR also supervising payroll
Yeah.
and some other,
I mean, it would make sense if Blair would have been in there, if payroll was in there, if accounting was honestly in there, but those were all not approved back then, so.
If it was big, I think accounting, it would be a great blend of accounting and HR, but we did broach the subject with Mandy about the payroll yesterday, and the checks are upstairs. There are there are 2 employees who do payroll, but there's also other employees that do help with payroll. And then Mandy does a quarterly reports. I guess I could go over there, but Mandy, it's not just 2 people that do it all. There's hands-on with the other departments. So could it work? Yes. But it just made more sense since they share duties.
are we printing manual checks? It's not through direct deposit?
The checks are deposited. She just said we do the checks, so I don't.
I assume they're
She just
printing
said
checks up there.
And so everybody does a piece of payroll? Like, for example, you would do leaves and you would do work hours.
No, I didn't get that specific,
Okay,
but Mandy does the quarterly reports. Felicity, and she has a backup payroll person.
Right.
I do believe they do the bulk of it, but they do get components of it from HR. HR will send them the changes.
Right.
So I know that happens.
Right.
If they need help, I don't recall the person who will jump in and help, but others will jump in and help if they do need help with payroll.
Because my understanding is if Felicity's gone, then Jamie does payroll, right? It's not a shared duty. That was my understanding. And maybe I was wrong.
No,
And so to move just payroll wouldn't be that big of a burden because if she's left the office, Jamie would do it anyway. She would do the bulk of it. And the reports, I'm assuming, are all electronic unless they're handwriting reports, which seems a little
again,
little scary.
we just asked
Yeah.
Mandy, who's not over that department. Other than the accounting, Michelle would be over that. So I just wanted to know if there was a solid separation. If you were to take 2 employees out and move them, what would that look like? And it was just talk, it wasn't like we were gonna do it. So that was just kind of my feelings, like.
Yeah.
And I probably should have asked Michelle, not Mandy, what that looked like, but I do believe we have not given Tom or anybody else direction to, which it was more of a question or a
Sure.
comment that came up.
Okay.
I think there needs to be more discussion. We need to get all the team members, HR, accounting, payroll on board.
Sure.
And I overstepped my authority to ask a question on that one I asked Mandy yesterday, but I was just curious because it's been brought up a few times.
Yeah, and I think it's in the spirit of, helping somebody who, the auditor who's very clearly overwhelmed. So it's not intended to potentially be permanent. And like you said, it's just that inquiry of could this work? People have identified that there's a lot of work, so could we unload the burden? And that's really what the spirit of that question or that inquiry came from. So I appreciate the feedback. Central services and HR is what we will tell Tom, unless you guys
think,
decide
yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think even if you did payroll in there and HR, you still have to put doors on those rooms, so. Cost-wise,
Absolutely.
it isn't gonna make any difference. If that changes afterwards.
Yeah.
The doors are there.
Any commissioner feedback, questions?
Clearly, we need to ask more questions on the payroll. Maybe ask Michelle about it.
Well, and that's me being curious as well.
Okay.
I'm just a curious person, so when you say that the sky is blue, I'm like, well, were there clouds? What was the weather like? And so it's just me being curious, not that you have to.
And HR's fingers a little more on the pulse of what's being said and going around than ours. That's some of the truth as well. So
Okay.
it's understandable.
Any
final?
I don't have any other agenda items if the commissioners don't.
Are you saying people are going around saying stuff about me, Rob?
Just that you are an amazing commissioner.
Oh, don't talk to me like that.
Nothing for me.
You're a stellar commissioner.
Stellar.
Stellar. You're way beyond amazing. You're up right over the top.
We better stop this.
Adjournment, no.
All right. We will go into recess until 2 p.m. when we are back for our weekly commissioners meeting. Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and we are here for our weekly commissioners meeting. I will now call the meeting to order and begin with an open forum for public input, 3 minutes per person, 15-minute time limit. We have one individual in the audience. Sir, do you have any public comment?
I do.
All right. If you would please step to the edge of the table and say your name and city of residence.
Travis Smith, most likely.
Travis Smith?
Smith, yeah.
Thank you.
This is where I'm gonna sit.
You can sit wherever you want, Travis.
You Begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have an issue with the building department again. I have a permit for a garage slash family room. And I called 3 weeks ago, spoke with a gentleman named Logan, who I called because I didn't know whether or not I needed a inspection for the floor rebar in the garage. So we went through that. He said, no, you don't need that. Then he asked me where I was at on the project, and I said, well, walls are up, roof's on, whatever. It's not, type sheetrock or anything like that. And he said, oh, well, then you missed a step. You should have called us for a floor inspection before you put the flooring down. And I said, oh, okay. Well, certainly we can look at that when you go underneath to check the plumbing. And he said, no, we don't go underneath your home. And I said, how are you going to inspect the plumbing if you don't go underneath my home for that permit you charged me for? And he says, well, I've been here 4 years and we don't go underneath in the crawl space. And I said, well, what about the underfloor insulation? Are you going to inspect that? Because it's certainly on the permit and you certainly charged me for it. And he says, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to hire somebody else to do that. That's my beef. I certainly have paid the fees over $4,000, and they're going to only inspect the things they feel they need to inspect or want to inspect. And I don't understand why the county would have an inspector who isn't capable of going in the crawl space. Certainly that's got to be part of their job. But according to Logan, it's not part of their job. So I'd like to know how it is they're charging me for that, but they're not going to do it. And that's my complaint. So who do I direct that to?
So Travis, you asked me to look into that, and I went to the planning department, and in the instructions, in your permit package, which you should have gotten a copy of, it does mention the process for inspections as you do the construction. I'm trying to find it.
Well, yes, building inspectors do inspect areas underneath houses, specifically crawl spaces during construction and for certain types of inspections. They do this to ensure that the foundation, floor structure, and other systems comply with building codes. And I know 2 instances where they were under the house and mold was found, and then they had to do a mold remediation to.
Right.
Yeah, and I know that when I did the gentleman did get under the crawl space.
Right.
So.
And when I did the other addition on this property, the gentleman got underneath there. My whole point was, look, you can look at the floor structure if you're concerned about it when you go underneath there and look at that. And he said, no, we're not. In fact, you're going to have to hire somebody who we approve to go underneath there and do that.
Yeah, I think there was a list of engineers that they wanted.
Well, I mean, I have an engineer. It cost me less for the engineer than it did for the permits. Imagine that. So it's a real rub for me that I paid more for the permit, which they're not going to inspect according to them. They're not going to get underneath there at all. That's Logan's comment. So you're going to charge me for it, but you're not going under there. How is it even possible that you're not going to inspect the plumbing? I'm sorry, that's a big deal. That's like telling me you're not going to inspect the electrical. So I'm spending all this money and they're not going to step into that. You require me to have a crawl space access. You have all the requirements for that. Nowhere in the instructions that I read, Kevin, do they ever say anything about if something goes wrong, if you miss something, if whatever. And mind you, they've been there twice that they never even signed. I'm not trying to make a big deal of this.
Oh, they didn't sign off on your permit?
There's 2 items on here they didn't sign that they already inspected. And this, by the way, this is right on the job site on a big table in a 3-ring binder, says permit.
Right.
No, he was there and didn't sign it. So there's 2 things they didn't sign. I'm sure it's signed off at the county level. I'm not worried about that.
But it should be signed at.
I agree, but I wasn't trying to be a jerk about it. Just going, okay, whatever, bad day, didn't sign off. But then when I get to this point and you tell me I mean, I'll have Mike Keller come out. He's the engineer who designed it. I can do that. Well, what am I paying you for then? I paid you for that. Why are you standing here telling me you're not going under my home? You are going under my home. You took the money. And if you're not capable, you shouldn't have the job. I mean, it's not tough to get underneath that house. There's lots of room. It's not tight by any stretch. So again, just that the attitude by them is that we don't have to do that. Well, who's going to do it? I mean, let's take the floor issue out. Who's inspecting my plumbing? It's not going to be them, according to them. Nobody in the building department's going to do it. And nobody's going to inspect that underfloor insulation. Then why are you charging me? Give me my money back. If I have to hire somebody, I'll be happy to have Mike Keller do the rest of this job. He is more than happy to inspect it in place of the county. But I'm going to have to pay him. So I'm just saying, if you're going to tell me that you are charging me for all these, then do all of them. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for the world. You said you were going to do them, do them. Don't stand there and tell me you're not going to after you took my money. So I want my inspections. I want them just the way, because they hold me to my feet to the fire every time. So I want them to do their job. And they seem to be totally not to care at all whether or not they were going to do that. Absolutely not. The young lady who answered the phone, wonderful. She had very respectful. Logan absolutely didn't care, and didn't care whether they provided that. So that's my beef. I won't take up any more of your time, but I would like to hear from somebody about who can take care of the complaint.
Did you sign in so we have a name and a number? I'm sorry, it was a little bit late.
That's all right.
Okay, I have your name, I don't have a sign sheet for that.
I'm gonna give him a
She
sticky
did.
note.
Kevin,
Did you
I have
want-
his number.
Kevin has my number.
I know where he lives.
So I would say that without looking into it, we're gonna have to reach out to the building department.
I took notes of what was discussed and I'll email it to Jim.
Okay. All right. That it?
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you. Appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day.
Okay, Barb, I see one caller online, Cammie.
We do. Cammie, I'm going to unmute or allow you to speak. Cammie, do you have any public comment today? No?
All right, well then I will entertain a motion to close the public comment portion. Oh, never mind, sorry, we're not in a hearing, my bad, rookie mistake. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, agenda has been approved. Do we have any correspondence, emails, letters of support?
I do not.
I forwarded you guys the one from the WSU extension this morning, I believe.
Kind of read it, don't remember.
I read it over.
They weren't super asking for a response. It was just if the commissioners had any questions or anything about that. That was the only one that I had.
Any comments on that email?
I don't have any.
I'm lost. Okay. Roundtable item. Did you have one?
Tom said he did.
Tom has one.
Yeah, so I gave all three of you a piece of paper. I was asked by Leidig Construction today to sign this construction contingency use authorization. Yes, I just received it a few hours ago. So what this is we carry contingency and they carry contingency in case there's something that was missed. So these are items that were missed during their constructability reviews or that the architect missed. They total $130,000. This does not change the contract and there's no change order to the contract, but we still have to authorize them to spend the money they held back just in case they made a mistake. So if the board doesn't have a problem with it, I will go ahead and sign this and tell them, yes, you can spend your own contingency money, because it doesn't affect us and it doesn't change our contract. But I wanted to make you aware of it. And really, as of April 30th, we've spent $76 million. We're about 60% complete, and this is the first time we've seen something like this. Doing super good that we haven't touched any contingency. So, and we haven't touched ours either. We have 2.5 million in contingency that we haven't touched. So, if the board's the board's agreeable to that, I'll go ahead and sign this and get it back to Lydig, and they can.
Do we need to, we can just give you a verbal?
I think you can just get, I don't think it needs to be a consent item because we're not changing a contract.
Okay, and you are over the project, so I would think that this would fall under your.
Yeah. In the past with the McKinstry project, we did it this way, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
any further roundtable items?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 15.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Discussion item, I would just point out item number 2 will be coming out of the quad. Any further discussion?
Did you want to say the correction for the fund for the EDC? Or was that still coming out of 113?
Still coming out of 113.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, could you also have them change just take off Janice Flynn's name off there, so that they correct that? So it could just be sent to the county commissioner's office. She's no longer here, so.
Any further discussion?
I don't have anything else.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Consent agenda items are approved as stated by Commissioner Carter.
Go have some fun. Well, Tom, good job on the lighting.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
That can help. Didn't hurt. Messed it up.
Double good. Good.
I told Travis.
I assume item 2 was the copier for accounting.
Yes.
Okay.
Figured it was quad.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you all.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Great. You?
Good.
This is your regular AP badge.
Yep, AP badge.
Second one is the credit card badge for April.
Too much. Too much. 453,000. Too much. Number 2, adjustments.
Well, I would assume she was coming back to sign stuff.
I think I ran to the bathroom. Kevin, which item has Janice Flynn on there still?
EDC invoice.
Not that's a big deal.
I mean, yesterday Kevin was Danny. I don't remember who said that, but still,
Call me that. I get called worse though, so it's okay.
that's true. He's a good guy.
He was a great guy.
Yeah, so I'll never be called Danny. That's for sure. Do I sign this thing even though it has her name on it?
It's
Oh, she's
over.
one of them.
Yep.
Okay. There's one though today that I saw that was to her and it had her name and stuff, but it did have my signature on it. So
Wow.
I just thought it was that one for some reason.
If you see it, and there's a little flag here, you just let me know.
Right there.
There's 2 stuck
Mace
together.
Janice Flynn.
Yeah. There's 2 stuck together. Stop. There's.
What do you mean?
You have the paper clip.
Why'd you do that?
I didn't do that. You were the last one in there.
You had one job.
I'll remember this for the future.
But I missed my
Barb, I only have
signed
one job.
place. It's an agency retainer.
Yes, sir.
Sounds tough. ARPA request from coroner's office for a vehicle. McKay Healthcare SIP fund request. McKay Healthcare SIP reimbursement request. Housing Authority CHG grant reimbursement request. Renew CDBG grant reimbursement request.
I just realized something.
What'd you do?
It's really embarrassing. I didn't do the appointment letter for that, for the recommendation of appointment.
Well,
So
it's passed, so when you do that,
I get to just
we can stamp them or we can sign them.
Yep, sorry. Second you said housing authority, I was like,
I didn't notice that. I did look for one because I was looking for who it was in the letter, and then I just saw the application.
yeah, I can get it. I can get it down here before you guys all leave. Just a little bit.
Yes, we will.
Three more hours.
Rob, was it you that wrote adjust on this?
No.
Okay.
I wrote down below.
What if it was me? I don't know.
I don't know. Might have been me. I might just not remember.
Well, it has something to do with the submitted to the clerk of the board by 12 p.m. on Thursday. Is that ringing bells?
Maybe you got all the others. Unless there wasn't, I think there's just two signatures on the back.
Public Works reimbursable pothole work.
I'm not looking to see if there's anything designed.
There's no flags, then
Yeah,
it's on me.
Thanks for spoiling this.
You can do it until you make a typo somewhere.
Oh, I'll do it. Cindy?
I guess. I'm sorry. This I know a little more. And then we have to check our boxes.
Which one's that one?
This
I
is,
can see that, I just think happy fast, it looks like happy Easter. When I just do a quick glance behind your legs. If we put it. Okay. Oh, not this one yet.
Last one.
Last one.
any walk-on items?
No, Paul has changed her too. Our file is email, for sure. Switch to hurry.
What's our next meeting? Goki? What time?
3:30.
3:30.
The 3 o'clock was canceled, the department head review.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, so weekly commissioners meeting is going to finish at 2:20 p.m. We'll be back in session at 3:30 p.m. for Oxford House discussion.
I'm gonna like just keep my I'll go outside.
What do you have, eggs? Good afternoon, it is 3:31 p.m. and we are here for an Oxford House discussion with Ricky Mogul and Noki Pando. Welcome to the hearing room.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys are welcome to go ahead and start off with why you're here and what's going on, what's new, what you guys do, for those of us that don't know.
All right. Well, again, my name is Ricky Mogul. So we work for Oxford House Incorporated, I do, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We operate and facilitate recovery housing for people recovering from substance abuse and alcoholism. We are actually worldwide. However, we've been operating here in Washington State before I was around. The first house was opened in 1990. We operate abstinence-based, peer model recovery housing, self-run, self-supported. We have about 368 houses here in Washington State currently, spread out all over the state. Currently, we have 4 houses here in Grant County. We have 3 men's houses and 1 women and children's house. Yeah, for the most part, self-operating, self-supported. I was invited here today, hopefully, was to discuss potentially maybe working out a relationship with the county. We have some working relationships with specific counties within the state of Washington. We have a long-standing one in Benton Franklin. We have one in King County. We have one in Snohomish County as well. We did have a temporary one in Pierce County for a little while. Every contract with the counties operate a little bit different. We have recently, of course, given the current climate within the state and the nation as well, we're hit just like everybody else a little bit. We had to lay off 3 employees who provide technical assistance and look for new houses to expand the network of Oxford House within the state. One of those included was Noki here, who specifically worked here in Grant County. And so there was a topic of discussion of possibly maybe figuring out if there was a way to have a working relationship, potentially a contract with the county to replace the full-time outreach worker here, who provides technical assistance with the houses and also works on expanding the network within the area, Grant County here. So yeah, that's kind of what brought us here.
Yeah, and just, to echo what he's already been saying is that, I was on for about 9 months, try to gain some traction, get houses going. Ultimately, an outreach worker is going to be specifically per county. When there's not when I was not here, then they would grab the nearest outreach worker from a different county to come over here, provide that support that they would get. So now not having it and me this being my home, Grant County being my hometown, I was kind of reading the landscape, everything that's going on in the community, everything that's changing, the homelessness, the accountability, kind of all those key words that we're all hearing around here. I just felt like if there was ever a time or a season that maybe something that we could use to focus on the solution, or be part of the solution, I felt like this might be the right time. So that's kind of threw some ideas to Ricky. I've known Ricky for several years, and he mentioned that he does have those other contracts with other counties, and it's something that has been done in the past. So I thought I'd reach out, and kind of talk about it, see where we could potentially go somewhere with it. And the idea is that what does the county have to benefit from an Oxford House? Obviously housing. We could get into percentages and technical numbers, but when I look at these 4 houses that we now have in Moses Lake, that's 40 individual beds. 3 of those beds are females, and those females can have 2 children with them. So essentially, we're providing 40 beds and 6 beds for children just in Grant County alone. Just as a matter of fact, just in Moses Lake alone. And to think how many apartments we're going to need or houses we're going to try to have to find to be able to house these people that are active in the recovery and currently clean and sober. So that's kind of in addition to what Ricky was talking about that I wanted to share.
What does it cost to have somebody here to manage? Like,
So we have to talk to somebody and they have to talk to somebody. Our idea was to come here, paint a picture, kind of put it in talks. When it comes down to specific numbers, like what's it gonna cost, that's when we essentially get you connected with our contract department. But we didn't want to like bring him into the picture if it's not even like a possibility, right? But I know obviously numbers are important, you know, but that's kind of where we're at on that.
In those counties you work with, what funds do they use to pay for that?
I want to say the King County Fund works out of the Substance Abuse Block Grant, the SABG grant, and mid funding, which is mental illness and drug. The mid funding is in King County. I know that specific.
You know the Benton
Through the
Franklin
health
one?
department. Well, and we just actually walked away from the Benton Franklin one just recently, so that was a little bit different. Every county contract actually works a little bit different. So Benton and Franklin County was really specifically a funding. So they provided funding for individuals to apply to help cover the cost to get them into an hospital and live there for a certain period of time. And so Benton and Franklin was more of a funding contract. Now King County has both. King County not only funds, well, originally it started with one full-time employee, and then they also did a pretty tremendous amount of number. King County kind of has the money, I think, but they also do a funding grant out of a homeless block grant, I believe, that is to help combat the homelessness in King County. So that's one of the requirements to apply. So they do both. They have an outreach worker that is responsible to maintain with the houses that we already have, as well as expand, open new houses and expand the amount of beds that are available within the county. And then they have the funding aspect as well that will help fund people that do not have the money to get into a recovery home. So Snohomish County, their focus lent towards helping their diversion center. So they have a diversion center in Snohomish County. They do fund a full-time employee that expands the network of Oxford houses within Snohomish County. They also work with the social worker team and I want to say the court systems to help place people that are in their diversion programs into a safe and affordable recovery house, which specifically Oxford House. So a lot of the norm is right around. We look at our full-time team members to open a minimum of 3 houses a year is usually what we look at. So of course those houses could have anywhere from 6 beds is the minimum requirement for an Oxford house to be chartered as an Oxford house. The house must be able to accommodate a minimum of 6 people, but it can go all the way up to 12 as well, up to 12 people depending on square footage and safety, of course. Bathrooms, square footage, all of that. So really, it really just kind of depends on what the goals of the county as well, that we can align a working relationship to help in that aspect. If that makes sense.
You were working with Oxford House the last year almost, right?
Yeah, it was up until the last day of last month.
And why did that position change?
Oxford House Incorporated, like that.
Well, there was a few. I mean, like even I wasn't fed exact specifics. I was just told that we had to cut 3 people. We had to lay off 3 people in the contract. I know part of it was the labor and industries minimum requirement for full-time salaried employees had a significant jump in salaries. And so the state, obviously with the operating budget already overspent, played a big factor in that the state couldn't keep, if we wanted to keep, they couldn't afford to continue the amount of staff that we had, if that makes sense. That's my understanding, was a major contributor. A lot of organizations and services have been cut back with this overspending of the budget and the state operating budget. So know that I can put you in touch directly, anyone that would like directly in touch with our contracts department. They could give the exact specifics probably to some of the questions, contract related,
Yeah.
where the funding comes from, how much it would cost, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, just on your website right now.
Yeah.
I see like obviously housing, like Oxford House provides housing for individuals that are in recovery, right? But what else does it like do for the community? Like we have a lot of really good working relationships with the Department of Corrections, with DCYF, local nonprofit organizations, Hope Source, the Housing Authority. We keep like these connections because they're trying to fill the needs too, right? So when it's somebody that's would be a good candidate for Oxford House is, I don't know, just providing a resource for agencies that are trying to find them, right? So especially DCYF, they are just ecstatic about the Oxford House because, I mean, we've had multiple mothers be able to move into the house and within a 3-month period, the child to be placed back in their custody, when at the time of the person applying, there was no set date when the child would be returned. There was no plan. Their family team decision-making process was at a standstill because they were just focused on family placement when the family placement wasn't something that was going to be long-term. And the parent was in limbo if they were going to be able to stay in recovery without housing. So those are just some of the highlights of what Oxford House is able to provide to the community. It's not just so much a bed for somebody, but it's a resource for different agencies as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
We have a really strong working relationship with all kinds of organizations. DOC, police departments,
community courts,
yeah, drug courts, tribes, churches, treatment centers, all the way across the CPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way across the board. One of the benefits that we've been around since the 90s. So
it's awesome. Like, small town community, a new resource, a new agency comes in. We're already like they're outsiders, like they're kind of skeptical of what they're doing or what they're about. And just to see that how Oxford House is accepted countywide and multiple different agencies and different sectors is accepted and leaned onto for that matter.
yeah, this handout that I gave you is kind of a taste of the data collection also that we collect with it, which is part of the process of our organization. The first 2 pages is actually a anonymous survey. I believe it explains that at the top. We do an annual anonymous survey of all the members within the organization living within the houses. So this gives where they can answer where they come from, what their history is, what they're looking to do, and how well they're doing. The first one, of course, is the nationwide. That's the entire organization on the first page. The second one is Washington specific here. Pages 3 and 4 are actually what our monthly housing activity reports are. So these numbers are directly reported to us on a monthly basis by all of the membership within the houses here in Washington State. They are specific. The third page, of course, that's the housing summary report of April. So at the end of April, this is what the month of April was reported to look at. The fourth page is specific to Grant County. I pulled that directly just for your guys' benefit to see. We can break these down in any way possible, as any area specific to city and county, all the way across the board. These are numbers that we collect on a monthly basis, and usually turned into the state of Washington or any specific contract holders or stakeholders that we work with. As you can see, if you look at the very last page, so with this, of course, as the end of April, we only had 3 houses because the 4th house opened this month. So next will look a little bit different. But at the end of April, we had 30 beds, 3 houses, occupied 27. At the end of the month, we had the 3 vacant beds. So that means somewhere within the last couple of weeks, some people moved out. It actually explains at the top why they moved out. You had 1 person did return to youth and 1 voluntary. So, which is the other. So that means maybe they moved on to their own place, whatever that might be. The numbers that always intrigue me is the one under emissions. If you look at, especially even on the statewide,
under admissions, we had 3,473 people apply to get a bed in an Oxford house just in the month of April. Of those 3,473, there was only room for 361. So the expansion of Oxford House definitely benefits from having an outreach worker who that is their primary, one of their primary responsibilities is to try to expand those numbers to accommodate the need. So it definitely could be a drastic hit losing out on that. We do rely a lot and involve a lot with the membership on expansion as well.
Yes.
Which of course that depends on how much free time they have as well between treatment or drug court or whatever that might work, whatever that might look like. I know that when I started out in an Oxford House as well. So I moved into an Oxford House in 2005 in Kitsap County. So January 15th, I celebrated 20 years clean and sober. But I lived in that first house for 4.5 years before they convinced me to move out and into a new house to be a core member there to help get it up and running and train everybody how to do it. It's very peer support, peer run organization. So that in turn also gave me the extra accountability and purpose to remain on the path that I was on as well. So, I got hired in 2010 and moved over to King County to the Seattle side to become an outreach worker and started opening houses. So since 2010, I've opened a little over 70 houses up and down the I-5 corridor. Of course, back then we only had 5 outreach in the whole state of Washington in 2010. So I had 6 counties I was spread across. Pierce County, King County, Snohomish County, Skagit County, Whatcom County, and Island County. So we were spread pretty thin, which was one of the drives to approach with King County and Snohomish County on getting some help. Right, so, yeah.
Do you work with Skagit County?
We do, I do.
Do they fund this program?
They do not have an actual county contract at the moment, but we have quite a few houses in Skagit County. That's actually ironically the second one of the other full-time outreach positions that we had to lay off was actually the one who worked specifically in Skagit, Whatcom and Island.
Those 3 are more related to our budget.
Are they?
Yeah, that's why I kind of asked. King County, not related at all.
Yeah,
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? 1% is probably our own thing, so.
Yeah. We've never had us sit down and chat with them as of yet that I'm aware of on potentially working out a relationship there. We utilize the state contract to place a full-time employee up in that area to help the expansion.
Can you kind of just walk us through a typical Oxford House individual or like a couple scenarios just to kind of understand?
Like a person living
Yeah,
here?
individual, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'll blend in a bunch of organizations with this one. There's John Doe. He was a person that struggled with alcoholism, challenges at home with his wife, separation, kind of sleeping on the couch because they were at arm's length, right? Always involved with crisis, attempting engaging with services, renew behavioral health, DUIs, interaction with law enforcement, at the same time battling cancer. So inconsistency in getting the medical treatment that he needs. Family house not being like the best option for him, obviously because it's a volatile environment, being his ex-wife living in the same house, no other supportive family. Got detained on a mental health hold, went to an ITA, got out. There was no transition plan. I was able to intercede in that, get him connected with an application with Oxford House. Sales pitch to him about Oxford House with it, accountability, structure, safety, and you can get a little bit of time away from the wife and work on yourself, right? And he did. He moved into Oxford House. He was able to maintain his sobriety for almost a year while he was there, mend that relationship with his wife, got all his legal issues out of the way, completed IOP treatment, engaged with case management and therapy at Renew. Unfortunately, he caught COVID at the end of his leg there at Oxford House and wasn't able to get 2 weeks worth of treatments of his cancer treatments, and he passed away. So it's unfortunately passed away, but he was at peace. He was loved. He was nurtured. He had a relationship with his family. His children were coming over him. He was like the dad of the house because he was the oldest, right? That's one of them that kind of really tugs at my heartstrings there, because he was just a good guy, just needed a soft place to land, and Oxford House was that option for him. I can go on. I like the stories. They go on forever.
It is a very broad spectrum, as you can tell actually by the survey answers here. It says that the average age is 40. The youngest that was reported that did the survey was 17, which generally we do 18 and above. However, there are some 17-year-olds that have been let in with certain paperwork. But I like to describe us as kind of the land of the misfit toys, if that makes sense, because there is such a broad spectrum within houses. So individuals, it doesn't matter your sexual creed or identity or age or history for the most part. We do avoid certain aspects, arson being one, because that's a kind of an insurance thing for the homeowner's insurance and whatnot. And there's several. So, but we have had every walks from garbage men to people who go back to school, who and get their license to go help people in treatment centers, and we have lawyers and doctors and garbage men, and I mean, you name it. So there's actually some city council people, not city council, some legislative representatives that sit in Olympia right now that actually are alumni of Oxford. There's actually people that sit, our contract facilitator and her boss, Oxford House alumni with the Healthcare Authority. We are kind of everywhere. Firemen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I had ex-cops. I think I've had ex-police officers. I don't know if I've had any current police officers that I'm aware of, but maybe. It wouldn't surprise me.
I tallied up.
Addiction doesn't discriminate.
Yeah, I tallied up the other day. It's how many houses, how many beds? We have 40 beds. When I did the count, we only had 3 openings at the new house, pending people moving in. So out of 37 people housed, 22 of those people were homeless in Grant County and utilized the sleep center, right? So they didn't go to sleep center, get clean, and move to Oxford House. It wasn't always like that smooth transition, but it just goes to show is that out of that many beds, though that many people were once homeless in Grant County, but when they did make the right choice, they had a soft landing, right? But like you said, there's so many different walks of life. That one person I just talked about is the one that hits home. I mean,
How long can they be there?
As long as they want.
Yeah.
As long as they
Beds
follow
available?
as long as they follow 3 concepts. We're not transitional housing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
one of the concepts that was incorporated by the founding members of Oxford House, that was one of the reasons why they were in a halfway house that had a time limit. And so it forced people to leave before they were ready.
Yeah.
So we have had members that 24 years lived in the same Oxford House here in Washington.
Yeah.
Where eventually got to a point where like it says, 82 was the oldest age reported in 2024. And so it just got to a point where that gentleman needed more assistance and help than could be provided by the membership within the house, of course. And so they all came together as a family and helped him find a home where he could get the help that he needed, attention that he needed, and moved on. Yeah, they called him Pops.
Yeah.
You know?
Two things I'd like to add, a lot of people are like, well, what recovery services do you offer in Oxford House? Well, we don't. Like, we are not a behavioral health agency by any means, but I understand when people aren't educated on that, what that may look like. But what inside the Oxford House is mandatory, you got to be clean and sober. But within the Oxford House, abstinence-based, right? And there's zero tolerance. If you end up with a dirty UA, you're automatically
you return to use.
You return to use. So
you have to leave for a minimum 30 days, and then
yeah.
you can reapply.
Right.
We usually suggest that you reapply at a different house. We have that benefit in Washington because there's usually quite a few options.
To mix it up a little bit.
But yeah, because obviously something probably wasn't working where you were at, and you return to use. So.
Law-abiding citizens, right? So, and we get really strict on that. When you come in the house, you're not driving without a license and no insurance. Those are like expectations of the house. If you're going to be a productive member of society, you're going to follow the rules. If you're on DOC, if you're on supervision, you're involved with DCYF, we're an open book to them. DCYF workers and case managers and facilitators, they walk into houses all the time just to come in, check it out. Law enforcement will stop by. They just come by and hang out, drink some coffee. It's an open environment. And the second one too is, even I was blind to this. I didn't really understand how it worked years ago, is that Oxford House doesn't own our houses, right? Oxford Houses builds leases with property owners. Kevin, we're gonna get one of your rentals. We're gonna ask if you want to turn into an Oxford House, right? And these are owned by regular people in the community. Anybody, it can be your house, anybody's house, we can turn into an Oxford House. What is the benefit of that? Well, it gives a landlord peace of mind. Why we talk about, like, hey, Oxford Houses are the best neighbors I had. You know that you're not over there drinking or using drugs. They're following the rules. There's accountability, there's structure. They're not partying over there, hanging out. They may have a barbecue, invite you over, but that's about it, right? So it's a benefit too. Like, I'm not a property owner, but if I could, that questionable lease, the background check and all these things, it kind of like gets sketchy who you're renting your property out to and having to worry about that type of thing. But it's kind of a comfort that we provide to a lot of owners too.
They are self-governing, so it takes 80% of the current membership to vote a new member in. So they always go through an interview process. They ask all kind of questions. Why do you want to live in Oxford House? What's your plan for your recovery? That kind of stuff. And then the membership that reside there actually take a vote once the interview is over. It takes 80% of the current membership to say yes, and that person gets in. Once they get in, any interviews after that, they have a vote just like anybody else. Doesn't matter how long you've been there, everybody has one vote. But they also have the same ability to expel a member as well, that same group. So if the person's not doing what they're supposed to, they're caught driving without a license.
Right, so then 80% can remove them?
50% actually.
80% is only for
51%. 51%.
Yeah, 51%. Yeah, 80% is only just for the acceptance into the home. But other than that,
the house is run on a structure that they follow the Roberts Rules of Order for the most part. So they have a mandatory weekly house meeting that all the membership are required to attend, where they come together and they discuss how everybody's doing, how the bills are.
they run their everything. Like they say, well, who's the manager of the house? There's no manager. There's no hierarchy. Somebody may have like seniority because they've lived there longer in their room, but that's about it. Everybody has equal vote, equal privileges, equal ability.
But you have to draw from too. It goes even a step further. There's lots of volunteer positions. Again, when I said I started as an outreach worker and I had all those counties that I worked with, all the houses within that area, it was a lot less than there is now. But I couldn't, as an individual, be in two places at once, And so it's really an amazing program. It's set up on a tier. There's volunteer positions, elected positions. So every house, like Grant County, four houses in Grant County are partnered with what's called a chapter. So the state of Washington is divided into 37 chapters right now. And so those make up geographical areas around the state. And so those houses, the membership of those houses actually work together. They come together, representatives from each house come together once a month for a chapter meeting. So those representatives come together and say how their house is doing, say, hey, our refrigerator went out, if anybody's got an extra one, or they all kind of work together. If they're struggling, they come to the chapter meeting and say, hey, we could use some help. And volunteers from the other houses come over, help mediate, painting parties, whatever it might be. Yard parties, so the yard's getting rough and our mower's out. Representatives from other houses will bring their mower over and help get it all up to par.
We just started our own chapter.
Yeah.
Chapter 11 too.
Out here. And so again, those representatives that show up to chapter meeting then hold elections for what they call chapter positions. So chapter chair and treasurer, and they pay dues to that chapter so they can actually help financially. Even if a house runs into not staying full, they can get a loan from the chapter. Those chapters, actually representatives from each of those 37 chapters come together bi-monthly. So in every odd month, the representatives from each chapter in the state, we come to an area within the state. We were actually just in Tri-Cities this last weekend, where representatives from all over the state and the chapters in those houses came together and had a long business meeting.
And
2 months ago, Moses Lake.
Yeah, 2 months ago it was here in Moses Lake. But it rotates around the state. So it gives those, again, those volunteer and purpose outside of even within your house. So people, complacency is one of the killers when it comes to the disease of addiction. So yeah, it's really a unique system, but it's very broad, it's very structured, and it's very established. It's an evidence-based practice recognized by SAMHSA for the federal government. Saved my life.
Definitely interesting.
I can't argue with the system, that's for sure. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do now is because I just want to be able to offer the same hand up that I received. When I first moved into my Oxford house, it was 2 blocks away from the last place that I used drugs, 2 blocks away. But there wasn't a whole lot of areas left in Kitsap County that I hadn't had experiences waiting at the bus. Those guys at that house gave me the tools that I needed and helped kind of surround me. And I was able to maintain recovery in the hometown that I used.
I tell people when we first opened, I say we because I helped the outreach worker at that time, was from Wenatchee, comes to Moses Lake. And essentially they recognized there was enough recovery community in Moses Lake to be able to support an Oxford house, right? Because you got to have a community of recovery because kind of ties in with Oxford House. I was already in recovery for 2 years at that time. I was working for a nonprofit. I was working for Hope Source at the time. I was an outreach worker. I was a homeless outreach worker for them during that time. Solid in my recovery, doing things in the community, doing a lot of volunteer stuff. And I remember I got asked, like, would you be willing to move into Oxford House to help kind of get it going? You know, somebody strong in recovery, kind of get it going, that type of concept. I remember that time I was like, I'm going to do Oxford House a favor and I'm going to help move in and help get it going. Stay in Oxford House for a little over 2.5 years. What I learned that time, even somebody with, a few years in recovery when I moved in, is that Oxford House did me that favor. Like it taught me a lot of little things about myself, about my community, about connection, about service, about free will. I learned a lot within Oxford House that's translated into the person I am today, right? Could I have done it without Oxford House? Maybe, but I wouldn't have a lot of the tools that I acquired during my residency while I was there.
That's great.
On the house, does the group pay the rent?
Yep, fully self-supporting.
So they have their own. We get their own bank account set up. So
Each house has its own.
Each house has their own EIN number. We go open a bank account in their name. Same with their water, their electricity, garbage. Get it all connected into the house's name. And then the house just takes care of all their bills, and that's kind of part of the weekly meetings. Is that we have somebody that's a treasurer, so they make sure they do the checkbook. They got an old school checkbook with written checks, nothing electronic, no credit cards, nothing like that. And then they have accountability too. So now they have 2 check signers within the house that are designated people that can sign the check and not the treasurer. So there's a little bit of accountability there too, so it keep people honest, right? And we have like a president. Doesn't mean there's any more authority for that person, but they're just an elected person in that position at that time, and they have a specific role.
Facilitate the house meeting.
So the house meeting, kind of like everybody has like their little job in the house.
Yeah.
Even a chore coordinator,
Yeah.
person that keeps track of chores, right? Because we got to keep the house clean. Everybody kind of, right? And a bunch of guys, I'm that's something I'm prideful about Oxford House is like, if my family can't walk into this house and walk into a clean, safe, loving house, then it's not Oxford House. But yeah.
They have taken all the responsibilities that we do as adults and to operate our home and efficiently, and it's divided into 6 roles and responsibilities amongst the membership. And again, the group votes on who is the one going to take on that role and responsibility. And it lasts for 6 months. So you can only do the position for 6 months, and then they rotate and they revote on who else is going to do it. So you kind of learn all the skills the longer you're there. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Any more questions?
I don't have any more. Keep looking at your website.
Yeah, they just upgraded it. That's the new one
Yeah.
finally. It's been a work in progress for a long time. Another one of the pretty nifty tools that we have as well, which I believe there is a link on that website to it, is if you were to look for an opening for an Oxford house. So I want to say it was about 10 years, don't quote me exact on that, but about 10 years ago, there was a member that lived in an Oxford house in New Jersey. And their area was struggling having people answer the house phone whenever somebody was calling to get into the Oxford house. Because you would have to literally call every Oxford house, say, hey, do you have an opening? Do you have an opening? Do you have an opening? Whether you're in treatment or jail or wherever you're coming from, even your parents' couch, you know. Well, that guy designed a website. If you go to oxfordvacancies.com.
There's not very many.
Oxford House vacancies?
On oxfordvacancies.com as a website. And you can actually find an opening in an Oxford house anywhere in the nation on that website. It's updated real time by cell phone of one of the members in the individual house. So you could search for a house. You could see all 4 houses up right now. If you were to search Grant County, Washington State, Grant County, all houses, it would show you all of the houses and the contact information for each one. It's actually updated real time by cell phone. So even if you were to look at it right now, 2 hours from now, those vacancies may change.
Yeah, like, so they have like the house name, the phone number for the house. And then there's another number with the contact information. So each house, another position is a house services representative, and they kind of like keep track of like applications. They're the other contact on there with the phone number or name, so they can call the house or that person. And it's kind of like their point of contact. It'll have the meeting time. So what time is their weekly meeting? So they can kind of like have an idea of when their interview, if they get one, may be. They provide some flexibility with that sometimes too, to accommodate to people's schedules.
It looks like you can click on each one, it shows you the house.
Yep.
The address,
Yep.
map.
Yep, shows you exactly where it's at, tells you how many people the house accommodates and how many openings they have. We have 4 types of houses, as you can see on there. We have men's houses, we have women's houses, we have men with children's houses, and we have women with children's houses. So we don't do co-ed. Apparently, they had tried it, the 4th or 5th Oxford house, and it didn't work out so well, so.
So we stick with what works.
So we stick with what works. Yep, those are the 4 types of houses that we have. Yeah.
In a lot of other towns, there's a lot of other recovery homes, clean and sober homes, abstinent homes, right? But Oxford House stands alone within itself, you know, and I like things that have been around for a while. 50 years seems like a pretty good amount of time to say that it's something that's proven, a proven model, something successful. Yeah, I was telling Kevin, the newest house that we just opened on Nelson, it was our county's only approved by Department of Corrections and DCYF as a clean and sober house, right? But it was, I mean, anybody knowing the community, it was far from that with all the stuff that went on there. So we were able to, and the history of the house too, like, I'm pretty prideful about Oxford House and like what we do, right? Like, it's kind of cool. That place was Nepal General Store, you know, in the 1900s. It was the first store before Moses Lake was Moses Lake. Then it was the first post office, and for the last 15, 20 years, it's been, I mean, a drug house for lack of better terms, right? We were able to work with an investor that bought the property, wasn't interested in having it continue with the reputation that it has. Committed to put an investment into it, put some work into it, and now it's turned around, and now it's a home, right? It's a beautiful house. It's still getting some outside work done, and it's centrally located. And that's another thing too, is when we pinpoint and find these houses, we want them centrally located to services, right? We're not going to put them out on Road 10 and tell them good luck out there. We want them centrally located in our communities. The first house, I don't think anybody in the neighborhood knew it was Oxford House for about a year and a half until the person next door to us had a heart attack, and they had a heart attack. When a member went over there and was helping the person, cops came. The cop was talking to the individual like they knew each other. Kind of put 2 and 2 together, and the guy started asking questions, and we We told them, yeah, we're an Oxford House of People in Recovery, and they were just like, wow,
No
you know,
idea.
no idea, you know.
That's kind of how the meeting in Snohomish County went when they were inquiring as well. They said, well, here, you're operating in our city. And I said, yep. And they said, we hear you've been here for a long time. And I like, yeah, as far as I know, like 8 years, I think 9 years at the time we had been in Snohomish County. And it was the police commissioner and the fire chief and the housing authority and all, you know, prosecuting attorney or district attorney. There was a bunch of people at the table. And they look at each other and say, we have no idea where your houses are.
Yeah.
We want to know how to get more. Yeah. That was the entirety of the conversation.
So we only have a couple minutes left, but
Yeah.
so the position, basically you're looking to find funding, you would be trying to recruit more houses? Or how does that work? What is that position?
What the position would do essentially.
Yeah.
So it provides like overall support to existing houses, right? So a lot of, there's rotation of people. So some core group members, they know about stuff, but there's some that don't. So they always need like technical support. How do we do this? How do we interact with banks? How do we, you know, if there's interactions with government agencies, like what do we do in these situations, or neighbors? We help with the mediation. And not to say there's a lot of issues that's always a problem, but it's always a supportive mechanism in place. But the other one, the thing is to replicate houses. So essentially, like in King County, they need probably 10 houses a year, right? Grant County, we can look at what number that is, you know, what realistically in Grant County. I mean,
we are about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, we could rent from slumlords and we could rent houses and we could try, but we are about quality over quantity. We're looking for people to have a safe place long-term if needed. You know, we're looking to rent long-term. The first house that opened in Edmonds was where the first men's house opened. It's actually still an Oxford House today, and it opened in 1990. So we rent long-term, we move in, we don't move out. The rent bills are always paid. Ironically enough, that you asked about paying rents, it's actually something that I track on the side as well. Every time a lease is renewed, I update the lease amounts to my spreadsheet. And I want to say that the last count that I was at was $987,000 are paid monthly in rents by recovering addicts and alcoholics and ex-cons.
So are your rents based on market rents?
For the most part. Yeah, for the most part. There's a little give and take depending on how many the house can accommodate, of course, because we do have a viability calculator. So we don't make any money off of members within houses, but they have to be able to survive and pay their way eventually. Funding helps. Funding's available in a lot of areas within the state, which will usually cover the first couple months, but they're required to find work and employment. And so we're not charging $1,400 a month or $1,200. I think our most expensive per individual, I think, is $750, and that would be in King County, like close to downtown Seattle.
here in Moses Lake, it's anywhere between 500 and 600. There's 550, 600. So the outreach worker would open houses.
And that covers all their rent and their share of the utilities and also includes supplies. There's a certain amount of supplies. You move into an Oxford House, you never got to buy toilet paper again, or laundry detergent, or coffee creamer, sugar. There's a list of things that are bought by the house.
Cool. Any further questions?
No, I don't have any more.
Okay, we have to prep for our hearing that starts
okay.
now, so. I appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks for
Noki. Yeah, if you could get us some more info on what the cost breakdown would look like,
Absolutely.
maybe it'd be worth looking
That's
at.
all right. I did get your card, so if that's all right. Is it all right if I pass your contact information and have them reach out to you?
Yeah.
With
that's
that kind
fine.
of information?
I can always pass it on to these guys too.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't have any physical cards. I have a digital card, but you have to add it to your phone. Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't have enough calendars and stuff on their phone already.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Good to
too.
see you.
You too, Rob. I don't know if Cindy can hear me, but thank you, Cindy.
I did find one.
Yes, I can hear. Thank you, and thank you for all that you do. It's greatly appreciated.
Cell phone number. So please feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have as well. And
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Nice to meet
Thank
Rob.
you. You as well.
Good, how are you? Good, thank you. Good. Is that everyone?
You too. See ya.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Yourself.
Very good, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you.
ready? Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, May 13th, 4:16 p.m. and we are here for an open record public hearing with the Sheriff's Office to consider the request from the Grant County Sheriff's Office to declare surplus of a 1993 Almar Patrol Rescue Boat with King Boat Trailer and 2009 Thunderjet boat with Tickler boat trailer. Once declared surplus, these items will be sold at public auction via Yarborough Auctioneers in May. With us today, we have Josh Sainsbury to give us an overview of these two surplus items.
Good afternoon. Currently, we have 3 boats in our inventory, and these 2 boats are older boats. Normally, you have 2 Marine deputies. Currently, we have 1 Marine deputy. In January, we ordered a new boat, so we want to sell the 2 and then have just 2 in our inventory with the idea that in the very near future, when we're fully staffed, we'll have 2 Marine deputies. And we got an outboard motor because they're easier to winterize, easier to maintain, better for this area than the jet boat, which is, unfortunately, we've dumped a lot of money into it the last 4 years with very little use, but I think whoever ends up purchasing this boat is going to get a good boat because it was all your normal wear and tear that comes after the age that it is. And the 1993 boat has been around for so long, it's nice to have it. It's our most dependable boat. It always starts, it always gets you there. But when you have 3 boats, you have to maintain 3 boats, and there's just not a need to have 3 boats. So the intention is to sell these and then take the money and put it back into the Marine program.
Okay. How many personal watercrafts do you have?
Currently,
Yeah.
we have 3 boats and 2 wave runners, jet skis.
Commissioners, any questions?
I don't know.
No.
All right, well then I'll open the public comment portion of this hearing. Do either of our attendees in the audience have public comment? No? I see no attendees online with us today.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public comment portion of this hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes to close the public comment portion of this hearing. I'll entertain a motion to approve the request to surplus 2 county-owned boats, 1993 Almar Patrol and Rescue Boat with King Boat Trailer and 2009 Thunderjet boat with Tickler boat trailer.
So moved.
Both of you.
Or I can second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to approve the request from the Grant County Sheriff's Office to declare surplus of these 2 boats. Thank you. This concludes our hearing. We will go into recess until 4:30 when we are back with a public hearing for Community Development Block Grant. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, May 13th, 4:30 p.m. and we are here for an open record public hearing to review community development and housing needs, inform citizens of availability of funds and eligible uses of the State Community Development Block Grant, and receive comments on proposed activities, particularly from lower income persons residing in Grant and Adams County areas. Comments on the OIC of Washington's past performance and use of prior CDBG public services grants will also be received. The purpose of this hearing is in regard to seeking public comment and intention to submit an application to the state of Washington for 2025 Community Development Block Grant, Public Services Grant funding, and to prepare for closeout of the 2024 Public Services Grant. To give us an additional overview, we have Caitlin Manel to give this additional information.
I am Caitlin Manel, for those who don't know me. I'm the deputy clerk, and I will be speaking for Carrie Stockton, the grants admin specialist. Present at today's hearing is also Antonia Mende of the OIC of Washington, who is serving as a Spanish interpreter if needed. Purpose of the public hearing is to review community development and housing needs, inform citizens of the availability of funds and eligible uses of the State Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, funds, and receive comments on proposed activities and funded activities that are nearing closeout, particularly from lower income persons residing in the Grant and Adams County areas. The Community Development Block Grants provided by the Washington State Department of Commerce with federal funds is to improve the economic, social, and physical environment of eligible rural cities and counties to enhance the quality of life for low and moderate income residents, thereby strengthening the entire community. Information regarding Grant County's CDBG programs is available upon request throughout all phases of the project. Comments on the county's intention to apply for the 2025 CDBG Public Services Grant funding, estimated to be $132,000, will also be received in addition to performance reporting and its closeout of the 2024 Public Services Grant number 24-62210-005. We have the following handouts available in both English and Spanish today. The Department of Commerce's Community Development Block Grant Program Public Hearing Handout, which outlines the purpose of the CDBG grants. The letter to public hearing attendees, which indicates the Citizen Participation Coordinator and Grant County's Open Door Policy. We have Grant County's CDBG Public Participation Plan with Grievance Procedure Form. Grant County has a high likelihood of applying for community development block grants in the future and would welcome citizen participation. The plan outlines eligibility guidelines and steps Grant County will take to procure CDBG funding and community involvement. Procedure form is included. Any input or grievances regarding CDBG grants can be forwarded to Carrie Stockton at Grant County Commissioner's Office, P.O. Box 37 in Ephrata, Washington 98823. And the federal citizen participation requirements for local government applicants to the state CDBG program, which outlines requirements of the federal government to receive CDBG funds. Any individuals interested in or requiring technical assistance to become knowledgeable with the CDBG program or who desire to contribute ideas to solving some of the community's needs will be provided assistance upon request to the county's CDBG Citizen Participation Coordinator, which is Carrie Stockton, the grants admin specialist. Grant County intends to apply for, and it is anticipated that CDBG funds of $132,000 will be made available in 2025. Are there any questions concerning the intent to apply?
No.
We have.
Is this also open to public comment, that question? I would assume it would be.
We do have a member of the public on. So
yeah, let's go ahead and
just doing public comment time or right now?
We can do a public comment time.
Okay. We have Antonia Mende of the OIC of Washington with us, who administers the county's public services grant. She will provide us with a report on program activities that were undertaken with 2024 funds and a report on the planned use of 2025 funds.
Okay, good afternoon, commissioners. Again, my name is Antonia. I'm here representing Candy Yeager, my director. And I'm here to provide a brief report on the closeout of our Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, which supported a range of critical services to residents in our community. So some of the outcomes we had through this grant, we were able to assist approximately 2,900 individuals with energy and housing counseling services. In addition, more than 50 clients benefited from business coaching, helping local entrepreneurs and small business owners strengthen their operations. Some of our highlights include that clients can receive awards up to $1,200 to help reduce the financial burden of utility costs and maintain safe, livable homes. The total funding provided in the last funding year was $466,197. Housing counseling services range from credit and budget counseling to direct financial assistance of up to $60,000, which helped prevent foreclosure and supported housing stability for struggling homeowners. These efforts have helped families stay housed, avoid utility shutoffs, and work toward long-term financial security. In conclusion, the CDBG funding has had a meaningful impact in our community, providing both imminent relief and long-term guidance to residents in need. We are grateful for your support in making this possible and look forward to continued collaboration in serving our county's most vulnerable populations.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Then we will now open the public comment portion of this hearing.
Cindy got somehow backstage, and now she's backstage again, trying to get her. Public comment, yes. We have one member of the public on the phone, and I apologize with the name. I'm going to say the first name is Randa from guidehouse.com. Randa, I'm going to unmute you. Do you have public comment today? Or allow you to speak, not unmute. Randa, do you have public comment today?
No public comment today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public comment portion of this hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Close the public comment portion of this hearing. I'll entertain a motion to approve the county's submittal of an application to Department of Commerce for 2025 CDBG Public Service Grant Funds.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We have a second motion to accept closeout of the CDBG Public Service Grant number 24-62210-005.
I would like we accept the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Public Services Grant number 24-62210-005.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes to approve CDBG Public Services Grant number 24-62210-005. Thank you to those who attended. Thank you for coming today. And that concludes our public hearing. We will be back at 4:45 for an open record public hearing for moratorium regarding utility developments and uses. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, May 13th, 4:46 p.m. And we are here for an open record public hearing for public comment for a recently adopted moratorium regarding utility developments and uses, ordinance 25-032-CC. To give us an overview of this, we have Development Services Director Jim Anderson Cook.
Thank you, Commissioners. The Grant County Board of Commissioners has passed an emergency ordinance that places a temporary 6-month moratorium or a pause on most new wind energy development permits in the county. This action was taken, or why was this action taken? It was taken because Grant County is a prime location for wind energy, but large wind projects can raise concerns, including visual and environmental impacts, effects on property values and wildlife, and questions about future removal or cleanup of abandoned equipment. Currently, county regulations don't specifically address wind energy projects. So to ensure any future wind energy developments align with our county's long-term planning goals and protects public interests, we need time to review and update our zoning and development standards.
So what this moratorium does is temporarily stops the county from accepting or processing permit applications for large or small utility scale wind energy projects, or other similar utility uses that is not currently named in our development code. What this moratorium does not apply to is projects that already have a valid permit before this ordinance took effect, such as electrical substations and power transmission lines and small wind turbines installed by homeowners to power their homes. A public hearing is currently being conducted today, which was within 60 days per statutory requirements, so that the residents can share input. And this moratorium can be extended in 6-month increments if needed. And this moratorium did take effect right away and is intended to protect the health, safety, and well-being of our community while we plan for a responsible and renewable energy growth. So with that, I would take public questions, but I don't see any public in the room, so.
Is there a certain amount of time we should be waiting for a public to attend? Or no public is in the room standard and we just
I know,
move on?
you would probably know that.
I do not know that, so I think the meeting was scheduled for 10 minutes. Is that what was on the agenda?
Yeah, 10 minutes. Like 6 minutes, 5 minutes.
We did have one caller today leave a voicemail, and had seen the moratorium posted on our website and wanted to validate that it was for wind, and it was a developer that I had talked to a year and a half ago, and he was just gathering information for a client and happened to notice the moratorium, and again just wanted to validate. So he doesn't have a project specifically, under contract or targeting for. He just, again, noticed and wanted to verify that in fact it was a wind moratorium. So I was able to confirm that for him today. That's been the only public question or comment that I've received since the moratorium took effect. So. I was at a conference, as you well know, a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And the Department of Commerce, their energy division, was in attendance and caught me after our presentation. And Dan Seaman is the number 2 of their energy division, and he likes to keep track of moratoriums throughout the state. And I did make him aware of the fact that we were in a wind moratorium as well. So Commerce is aware.
How many other counties are doing that?
In moratoriums, Benton County is in a moratorium, has been for a long while. Yakima's in a moratorium. Whitman has current ordinance. Garfield has a current ordinance.
Aren't they trying to put in a big solar farm down in the Blues somewhere?
Yeah, that's Garfield.
Garfield.
Yeah, and it's if I recall, that's Garfield, and it's not it's not been received well. We being the Grant County Planning Department and in conjunction with Benton County have been talking with Spokane County. Spokane's been receiving a little bit of interest in wind development, so I've been working with their director and planners on just sharing some of what we've been working on and ordinances and things. Example ordinances for wind that I have received and I'm working through. So it's on everybody's radar.
Thank you, Jim. I have no other questions, but I appreciate you putting this together.
Thank you.
We'll be closing public comment also then, and then closing the hearing. I'd say at 4:54 that you make that motion. Yep.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to close the public comment portion of this hearing. We will now adjourn for the rest of the day.